Chapter 1954. Instead of getting angry, he laughed. It seemed that he felt lonely. It was not easy for someone to come in, so the space person would not kill Longao at all. The meaning of the space person was very simple, that is, he wanted to imprison the other party and make him stay with him. 100 million years, for the space person, was just a blink of an eye. Boy, I admire your character, but it doesn't matter. I will let you try my power first. The space person did not move at all, and the surrounding space began to compress towards Longao, fiercely compressing, retreating again and again. With the innate ability, Longao could also be said to have a preliminary mastery of space. It was precisely so. Longao was very clear about how powerful the other party's control of space was. Between heaven and earth, among all the forces, time and space were one of the most powerful forces. No attack. Nor did he deal with it. The space person said with a confident smile, "Boy, not to mention that you are just a level 7 starry sky cultivator, even if you are a starry sky domain lord, you can't leave here. 7 orifices, exquisite pagodas, 1st floor, 2nd floor, 3rd floor, 4th floor, 4 starry sky domain lords, and the most powerful one was this space person. The higher the floor, the stronger the strength." Longao's face was very gloomy, as ugly as it could be. Just now, he could clearly feel the strength of the other party, and the control of space power had exceeded his understanding. This battle, he would lose without a doubt. "You still don't want to give up? Senior, I want to make a bet with you." In this case, he could only use his wits and not strength. He certainly could not stay. The only way was to find a way to deal with the other party. "Tell me about it." The space person seemed to be very interested. For so many years, the space person had been too lonely, and now that someone came in, the space person also wanted to see what the other party wanted to do. "Senior, do you think that you're very strong? Why don't I go all out? If you can withstand a single move of mine, then it'll be my loss. At that time, let alone 100 million years, I can even stay here for the rest of my life." If he won, he would leave. The space person smiled. Full of confidence, the space person did not put Longao in his eyes at all. If he couldn't even resist the full strength of a level 7 starry sky cultivator, then what was the point of him keeping this person? That was indeed the case. Without any hesitation, the space one nodded and said, "No problem. I also want to see what kind of ability you have to pass 3 tests in a row." He could not understand how the other party was able to clear the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd floors consecutively. He was very clear about the strength of the 3 people on the first 3 floors. They were all starry sky domain lords. A grade 7 starry sky cultivator and a starry sky domain lord were simply not on the same level of existence. He didn't say anything else. He only had one chance. If he missed it, he would have to stay here forever. He stared at the so-called space traveler in front of him. In order to deal with a space master, one had to use the power of space against the power of space, or even the power of time. What killing move should he use? After thinking for a long time, in the end, Longao locked onto his innate mystique, the time sure-kill technique. With the combination of the 2 sure-kill techniques, Longao was confident that he could defeat his opponent. According to the agreement, the other party was not allowed to retaliate. Furthermore, Longao could clearly sense that the other party had not taken him seriously from the beginning to the end. The more this was the case, the more chances he had. "Boy, come on." It seemed that he couldn't wait any longer, because the space traveler wanted to see what kind of ability the other party had to be able to repel him. Innate mystique, dragon roar. As the dragon roar sounded, the surrounding space began to suppress. Shock. Unbelievable. Because the space traveler never thought that the other party would also master the power of space. But so what? If it was other forces, it might be a bit troublesome. Only the power of space could attack him. It was simply impossible. He was known as a space traveler, and had truly mastered the power of space. However, before the space traveler could react, Longao's time sure-kill technique had appeared. This time, he did not use the time powder. Shattering the starry sky, 6 space cracks appeared around him. Taken aback, "You?" Longao used the space cracks to devour, under the double attack of time rewind and time advance. Longao used space teleportation to appear in front of the other party and attacked with all his strength. All the sure-kill techniques were used together. Even the space traveler did not have time to react and was repelled. He took 3 steps back before he could stand firm. He did not continue to follow up. Longao knew very well that even if he could repel the space traveler, it was almost impossible to kill the other party. He was completely stunned. He lost? It was really hard for the space traveler to accept such a muddle-headed defeat, but after thinking about it, he said with a smile, "The power of space and strength, as well as shattering the starry sky, I accept my loss wholeheartedly." The space traveler finally knew why the other party could pass 3 levels in a row. Such a secret technique was too powerful. If he was not careful, he would be killed by the other party. Until now, he still had some lingering fear. "Senior, thank you." Longao did not want to say more nonsense. Now, he just wanted to leave the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. It was only the 4th level, and there were still the 5th, 6th, and 7th levels. No one knew how dangerous it would be, so he could only take 1 step at a time. The space traveler seemed to be able to guess Longao's thought. He was also a very good person. He did not feel the slightest bit of greed because of Longao. He said with a smile, "Boy, the 5th level of the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda is guarded by a starry sky domain emperor. With your strength, you can't pass it." He was very surprised. Although Longao had guessed that there must be a starry sky domain emperor guarding the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda, he never thought that a starry sky domain emperor would appear on the 5th level. According to his calculation, a starry sky domain emperor should only appear on the 7th level of the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda, but according to the current situation, a starry sky domain emperor had already appeared on the 5th level. It was hard to imagine what kind of existence there would be on the 6th and 7th levels. Could there be a starry sky domain emperor guarding them? Longao's face was very solemn because the strength of a starry sky domain emperor was far superior to the starry sky domain master. He could use all kinds of trump cards to contend with the starry sky domain master, but he did not stand a chance against a starry sky domain emperor. How could he pass through the 5th, 6th, and 7th levels? Was he really going to die here? The heavenly Tao. Longao clenched his fists unnaturally. The heavenly Tao had secretly attacked him and suppressed him with the help of the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. He would definitely settle this score with the heavenly Tao in the future. P.S. Copy the 2nd chapter. Chapter 1955. Boy, let's make a deal. What do you think? Senior, please go ahead. Longao could clearly sense that the other party didn't have the slightest intention to kill him. He was really lucky to have passed a total of 4 floors. Apart from the space leopard who wanted to kill him, the blood wolf, the flame wolf and the space traveler were all very nice to him. If the 3 of them were determined to deal with him, would he have been able to pass this step smoothly? "I can help you pass the 5th floor, but in exchange, you have to promise me that you will help me kill the guardian of the 5th floor." Huh? Longao was a little surprised. He never thought that things would come to this point. No problem. Longao was not a fool. Since the space being said so, then if there was no accident, the space being would definitely have a way to help him. As for whether or not he could kill the guardian of the 5th floor, he had no objection at all. However, Longao couldn't figure out how a space traveler could deal with a starry sky domain emperor. A starry sky domain lord and a starry sky domain emperor were 2 completely different existences. He didn't ask. Longao knew very well that under such circumstances, he didn't need to ask more. He believed that the other party would take the initiative to tell him. As expected. Boy, when we enter the 6th floor, you just need to follow my instructions and lead the other party to this place. Leave the rest to me. Longao nodded. He didn't have the slightest objection. At this moment, the space traveler's original body suddenly exploded, leaving only the primordial spirit. Longao was completely stunned when he saw this, but he immediately understood what was going on. If the space traveler didn't do this, he wouldn't have been able to enter the 5th floor at all. Let's go. Longao left the 4th floor with the primordial spirit of the space traveler and went toward the entrance of the 5th floor. Soon, they arrived at the 5th space. Another voice of surprise rang out, because even the Guardian did not expect that a grade 7 starry sky cultivator would be able to enter his space. Another space traveler? Longao could clearly sense that the other party was also condensed from space, but his strength was far superior to the previous space traveler. Second brother is really... He shook his head in disdain. It turned out that these two space-bearers were blood brothers, but the grudges between them were hard to explain. Either you die or I die. Otherwise, second brother would not have wanted to kill first brother, even going as far as to self-destruct. Trash. Under such circumstances, there was no point in talking nonsense. Longao cursed, turned around and started to run towards the location given to him by the second brother. Spatial teleportation. After a few teleportations, Longao's figure was already tens of thousands of meters away. He was shocked. The Sovereign Realm expert from the Starry Sky domain was a little shocked. Spatial teleportation was the pinnacle of speed. It was no wonder that the other party could pass through the first 4 floors and arrive at the 5th floor that he was guarding. Courting death. A grade 7 starry sky cultivator, in his eyes, was just an ant-like existence. Big Brother immediately chased after him. His speed was very fast because Big Brother's cultivation had reached the Starry Sky Domain Emperor realm. Although he could not teleport, his speed had reached an incredible level. Longao deliberately slowed down. What if the space-time user didn't chase after him? Since he was entrusted with the task, he had to do it. Although he also wanted to leave here, he had to help the space-time user deal with his big brother first. In this way, even if he could leave the 5th floor, he could feel at ease. The two people, one in front and one behind, arrived at their destination in about a few minutes. A huge pool. If it were any other time, the space-time user would definitely not be led here by Longao. After all, the pool was his forbidden area. But from the beginning to the end, the space-time user did not put Longao in his eyes. Even if he came to the pool, what could he do? With Longao's strength, could he hurt him? Just when the space-time user was about to speak and was about to kill Longao, the situation suddenly changed. Longao's body suddenly flashed with a black robe. It was the space-time user whose original body was destroyed, leaving only his primordial spirit. For the time being, he was called Second Brother, and his opponent was his big brother, Big Brother. Second Brother, you actually destroyed your original body. Of course, Big Brother knew what the other party wanted to do. Maybe Longao could not kill him, but Second Brother could kill him with the help of the pool. Kid, you can go now. I'll take care of our grudge on my own. Under normal circumstances, it was impossible for the space-time user to leave the 4th floor. He could only come to the 5th floor with Longao's help. Longao knew very well what the space-time user meant. He didn't want him to see their grudge. In that case, there was no need for him to stay any longer. He had planned to help the space-time user deal with his big brother. Longao already knew the location of the entrance to the 6th floor. There was no doubt that Longao could smoothly leave the 5th floor and go to the 6th floor. As for the two space-time users, they looked at each other. The guardian of the fifth space no longer had any extra power to deal with Longao, let alone stop Longao from leaving the fifth space and going to the sixth floor. Second brother, you detonated your original body in order to kill me. Did you? Waving his hand, the space traveler who was called the second brother looked disgusted. He didn't even want to say a word and directly started to attack. There was only one result in the end, that was, both of them would die, and both of them would suffer great losses. On the sixth floor of the Seven Orifices Exquisite Pagoda. After successfully passing through 5 levels, Longao was not surprised at all. Instead, he became even more solemn. This was because he knew clearly that the guardians of the 6th and 7th level of the Seven Orifices Exquisite Pagoda were definitely not simple. The weakest one could be a Starry Sky Domain Emperor or even a Starry Sky Domain Emperor. However, whether it was a Starry Sky Domain Emperor or a Starry Sky Domain Emperor, it did not make any difference to him. But what was the result? The 6th floor was empty. There was nothing at all. Even when Long Fu sensed the entrance to the 6th floor, Longao didn't suffer any attacks. What was going on? Longao was quite lucky. It turned out that the Heavenly Path had been killing cosmos cultivators everywhere after obtaining this incredible artifact. However, there were many powerful cosmos cultivators who joined forces to kill the guardian of the 6th floor, but they all died on the 7th floor. However, Longao still didn't leave the 7th floor. It was still unknown whether he could leave the Seven Orifices Exquisite Pagoda successfully. However, Longao certainly wouldn't stop now that things had progressed to this point. There was only one floor left. He would be able to leave the Seven Orifices Exquisite Pagoda as long as he could pass the 7th floor. As for the strength of the guardian of the 7th floor, there was no telling. On the 7th floor of the Seven Orifices Exquisite Pagoda. P.S. Copy of the 3rd chapter. Chapter 1956. He stepped into the 7th floor. There was water everywhere as far as the eye could see. An old man was sitting by the sea, fishing quietly. You're the first one to come here in more than 10,000 years. Not bad at all. The Starry Sky Territory ancestor. Longao could clearly feel that the old man was a Starry Sky Territory ancestor and his strength was not weaker than Hong Lin and Chi Tian's. It would be a lie if he said he wasn't afraid. However, Longao didn't want to say much. Since it was a fight, why should he waste time? Longao looked at the old man cautiously, ready to take action at any time. He smiled. Kid, do you think you can defeat me? No. Without hesitation, Longao knew that he couldn't defeat the old man. After all, the old man was a Starry Sky Territory ancestor, a top existence in the vast starry sky. With your strength, I'm surprised that you can pass 5 floors in a row. The old man obviously knew the situation on the 6th floor. Even so, the old man was still surprised. The old man was just a level 7 Starry Sky cultivator. How could he resist the Starry Sky Domain Lord and Starry Sky Domain Emperor? The old man didn't ask. Kid, let's make a bet. If you win, not only can you leave here, but I can also help you refine the Seven Orifices Exquisite Pagoda. If you lose, you have to stay here forever. No problem. If they fought head-on, he wouldn't stand a chance. In that case, he could only agree. Senior, I'm curious. Tian Dao has refined the Seven Orifices Exquisite Pagoda. If so, why can you help me refine it? This was what Longao couldn't figure out. Under normal circumstances, no matter what kind of Starry Sky divine weapon it was, unless the owner died, no one else could refine it. In other words, if he wanted to refine the Seven Orifices Exquisite Pagoda, he had to kill Tian Dao. But was it possible? Seems like you're confident. The old man smiled and continued, Don't worry. Tian Dao hasn't refined the Seven Orifices Exquisite Pagoda yet. There's something wrong with his character. F***ck. How could he tell a person's character? Could it be that his character was good? Thinking of this, Longao did not continue to ask because he knew very well that in this situation, the most important thing was not to be entangled with this question, but to win the bet. Senior, what should I do? It's very simple. As long as you can catch one fish, you win. So simple? Longao's expression became more and more serious because he knew very well that the old man's bet couldn't be so simple. There was nothing he could do about it. The initiative was clearly not in his hands. He didn't say anything else. Longao took the fishing hook from the old man. He sat quietly beside the old man and began to immerse himself in fishing. In fact, Longao did not know that the old man was only doing this to test him, to find a suitable person to refine the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. The heavenly Tao was obviously not suitable, but before he found the right person, the old man would definitely not choose to leave. Heavenly Law Alliance. The heavenly Tao, who was resting with his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes, which reflected a cold light. Not good. The heavenly Tao never expected that Longao could reach the 7th level. He did not know the situation of the first 6 levels. After all, he had not truly refined the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. However, when Longao reached the 7th level, the heavenly Tao thought that he would be killed by the exquisite pagoda, but the old man did not make a move. Instead, he began to test Longao. What did this mean? The heavenly Tao knew very well that once Longao passed the test, he would refine the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. At that time, the refinement would be troublesome. Under such circumstances, the heavenly Tao did not care about being known by others. He took a step forward and arrived in front of the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. The heavenly Tao? Seeing the heavenly Tao suddenly enter the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda, everyone understood that the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda originally belonged to the heavenly Tao. In other words, the person who wanted to suppress and kill Longao was none other than the heavenly Tao. According to normal circumstances, when Tian Dao appeared, godly diviner should also appear. However, Tian Dao's luck was too good. Now, godly diviner had left the Tianwu plane again. Otherwise, if godly diviner knew about this, it was easy to imagine what would happen. 7 orifices exquisite pagoda, 7th level. Exquisite, are you going back on your word? The moment the heavenly Tao appeared, he attacked Longao, but was stopped by the old man. From the beginning to the end, Longao did not make a move. The reason was simple. It was not that he was not afraid of death, but he believed that the old man would definitely help him. If the heavenly Tao wanted to make a move at this time, it would be a mistake. Although the heavenly Tao had not truly refined the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda, according to the agreement between the two, the heavenly Tao could use the power of the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. Otherwise, the heavenly Tao would not have used the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda to suppress Longao. However, the heavenly Tao had never thought that he would go for wool and come home shorn. Not only did he not use the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda to kill Longao, but he also gave Longao a chance. If Longao succeeded in passing the test, what should he do? The heavenly Tao was very clear about the power of the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. Not to mention the previous 6 tests, just the exquisite pagoda in front of him was a genuine starry sky domain lord. Once Longao used the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda, wouldn't he be able to kill the heavenly Tao easily? The heavenly Tao could not let Longao pass the test. The heavenly Tao was also very depressed about one thing. What Longao was doing now was fishing. The heavenly Tao had done it before. In order to truly refine the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda, he had done it for more than 100 years. In the end, he still could not pass the test. The only explanation was that his character was not good enough. Because of this, the heavenly Tao had been speechless for 10,000 years. What was wrong with his character? Exquisite smiled and said, "Back then, our agreement was that you could use the power of the 7 orifices Exquisite Pagoda as you wish. However, I once said that I could find a successor at any time. I believe you remember this correctly?" He cursed in his heart. That was indeed the case. The heavenly Tao was speechless, but there was nothing he could do. The true owner of the 7 orifices Exquisite Pagoda was actually exquisite, not him. In other words, whoever wanted to refine the 7 orifices Exquisite Pagoda was up to the old man. Humph, the heavenly Tao snorted coldly. In his opinion, even if Longao had the chance to take the test, he would not be able to pass. The heavenly Tao had not caught a single fish in 100 years. Would Longao be able to catch one? Definitely not. The heavenly Tao was not too worried when he thought of this. As long as Longao did not pass the test, he would have a way to kill Longao. Author's note: the 4th chapter is here. Chapter 1957. Leave? Since he was already here, he had to deal with Longao first before leaving. Letting the tiger return to the mountain would only cause trouble in the future. Tian Dao didn't want to delay any longer because he knew clearly that if he didn't kill Longao now, it would be hard to find another chance in the future. No matter what, Longao was chosen by the marvelous mathematician. Time trickled by. Less than 10 minutes had passed. A golden goldfish had already been fished up by Longao. Impossible. It's impossible. His face was filled with disbelief, because the heavenly Tao had never thought that Longao would really catch a fish, and in such a short period of time. Even though he had seen it with his own eyes, Tian Dao didn't want to believe it. Congratulations! Ling Long waved her hand at Tian Dao, and before Tian Dao could react, she had already disappeared. What's your name? Longao. Longao was also pleasantly surprised in his heart, because he had never thought that he would successfully catch a fish in a short span of 10 minutes. The power of the 7 orifices Exquisite Pagoda was obviously beyond his knowledge. Not to mention the 4th, 5th, and 6th floors, no one could defeat Ling Long on the 7th floor. She was a Starry Sky Territory ancestor and a Peak Territory ancestor. Even if Hong Linhe and Qi Tian were trapped, they wouldn't be able to leave this place alive. Longao, you've passed the test. I believe you've guessed that you can refine the 7 orifices Exquisite Pagoda. You're the owner of this place. He was overjoyed. Longao had guessed it, but he didn't dare to imagine that his luck would be so good. He thought he wouldn't be able to leave the 7 orifices Exquisite Pagoda, but it turned out like this. Thank you, Senior. In the following time, Longao didn't hesitate. With Ling Long's help, he started to refine the 7 orifices Exquisite Pagoda. If Longao wanted to refine the 7 orifices Exquisite Pagoda alone, he would need at least a few years. If he was unlucky, it could take decades or even centuries. But now, the situation was completely different. With Ling Long's help, Longao successfully refined the 7 orifices Exquisite Pagoda and became the master of the 7 orifices Exquisite Pagoda. Longao's situation was completely different from the heavenly Tao. Outside the 7 apertures Exquisite Pagoda, no one was willing to leave, especially now that everyone knew that the owner of the 7 orifices Exquisite Pagoda was none other than Tian Dao. Looking at the sudden appearance of the heavenly Tao, everyone closed in step by step. Tian Dao, hand over Longao. Although they were afraid of the God Diviner, many people were willing to take the risk because of the huge temptation. Shattered Starry Sky. Secret techniques to increase one's strength and so on. If he could obtain these things, even the risk would be worth it. The heavenly Tao's expression was very gloomy, as ugly as it could get. Hand over Longao? How could he hand over Longao? He also wanted to find Longao, but how could it be possible? With a helpless expression, the heavenly Tao said helplessly, Longao has successfully passed the test and is refining the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. If there are no accidents, Longao will come out in 2 hours. At that time, whoever wants to catch Longao will have to rely on their own abilities. Would anyone believe it? Without a doubt, no one would believe it. The heavenly Tao was obviously the owner of the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. Did he really think that the people here were fools? However, no one made a move, nor did anyone press on. It was only 2 hours. To everyone, 2 hours was just a blink of an eye. Many people wanted to see if Longao would appear in 2 hours. If he did not appear, it would not be too late to settle the score with the heavenly Tao. Everyone surrounded the heavenly Tao. Even if the heavenly Tao was powerful, it would not be easy for him to leave smoothly. Time passed quickly. Unknowingly, 2 hours had passed. Where was he? They did not see Longao come out of the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. Everyone's face turned ugly. Chi Tian territory ancestor snorted and said, "Heavenly Tao, do you really think that we are fools? Where is Longao? Didn't you say that Longao would appear in 2 hours?" The 3 consecutive questions left the heavenly Tao speechless. The more it was like this, the more gloomy heavenly Tao's face became, because he was sure that Longao must have refined the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. As for why he did not appear, the reason was simple. Longao must be creating trouble for him. Although he cursed in his heart, he did not get angry. 1 against 10,000, there were 2 cosmic domain lords and 6 cosmic domain emperors. Once he started fighting, he would definitely die. The heavenly Tao also knew that the divine mathematician was definitely not in the sky martial realm. Otherwise, the divine mathematician would have appeared, since the news of him possessing the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda had been leaked. However, the divine mathematician did not appear. I have just said that Longao has passed the test and is refining the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. However, enough. Hong Lin was completely enraged. He snorted and said, "Heavenly Tao, don't think that you can ignore everything just because you have the divine mathematician's support. I will give you one last chance. If you don't hand over Longao, we will kill you." Apparently, the 2 territory ancestors of the starry sky were enraged. Everybody around sneered. The heavenly path was really despicable. Things had come to this, but it still dared to do that. It didn't want to live anymore. The heavenly Tao was extremely depressed. In the past 2 hours, he kept trying to enter the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda to stop Longao from refining it. However, no matter how hard he tried, he could not enter the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. Under such circumstances, how could he hand over Longao? "The 2 of you, please listen to me." Before the heavenly Tao could speak, the heavenly Tao suddenly made a move. A terrifying aura fiercely suppressed the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao did not dare to meet force with force. In the next second, the heavenly Tao had already fled far away and disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye. Kill. Anyway, Longao was suppressed in the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. For the time being, he could not get out. Moreover, the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda would refine him. Under such circumstances, they had to kill the heavenly Tao first or catch him to open the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. Only then could they get Longao out of the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. No one wanted Longao to die. If Longao died, all the secret techniques and supernatural powers would disappear. Everyone chased after the heavenly Tao. No one under the starry sky domain emperor dared to move. With their competence, if they dared to chase after the heavenly Tao, they would die without a doubt. In the face of death, no one was not afraid of death. The 2 cosmic domain ancestors, 6 cosmic domain emperors, and all the cosmic domain emperors and cosmic domain masters chased after the heavenly Tao. P.S. Copy the 5th chapter. Chapter 1958. Just as Tian Dao had guessed, Longao had successfully refined the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda within an hour. However, Longao did not appear. The reason was simple: he wanted to kill with a borrowed knife 2 Starry Sky Territory ancestors and 6 Starry Sky Territory emperors. Even if Tian Dao had 3 heads and 6 arms, it would be difficult to resist such a siege. Not long after Tian Dao's people left, the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda suddenly shrank and disappeared. Then, Longao's figure suddenly appeared in the 9th heaven, giving everyone a fright. Longao? Look, it's Longao. We killed Longao. Everyone was excited when they thought of Longao's treasures. They couldn't wait to kill Longao and take away these secret techniques and divine abilities. Without these so-called divine abilities and secret techniques, would these people care about Longao? It was simply a joke. There were about 70,000 Starry Sky cultivators around. Almost 95% of the foreign cultivators were all here. Everyone's thoughts were similar. Although they didn't have the strength to kill Longao or snatch things in front of the Starry Sky Territory ancestors and Starry Sky Territory emperors, sometimes luck was more important than strength. What if they were lucky? With the attitude of trying their luck, everyone was ready to attack Longao. But the result? Before anyone could make a move, Longao had already taken the initiative. Countless Starry Sky soul slaves appeared. Not only that, Longao seemed to be a little angry and started to kill. With his current strength as a level 8 Starry Sky cultivator, he could compete with any Starry Sky cultivator below level 9. Yes, Longao's cultivation had smoothly broken through to level 8 Starry Sky cultivator. Even Longao himself didn't expect that after refining the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda, his cultivation would break through to level 8 from level 7 Starry Sky cultivator. In just 2 hours, even Longao couldn't believe such a cultivation speed. In less than 2 months, his cultivation had risen from a grade 3 Starry Sky cultivator to a grade 8 Starry Sky cultivator. Is this true? This kind of cultivation speed was simply unprecedented and would never be surpassed by anyone in the future. Massacre. Of all the Starry Sky cultivators present, the strongest was only a grade 9 Starry Sky cultivator. As for the powerhouses above the Starry Sky domain lord level, they had all chased after Tian Dao. It was a one-sided massacre. Whether it was the Starry Sky soul slaves or Longao, they were not existences that these people could contend against. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gradually, the remaining people began to realize that something was wrong. Longao's strength was too strong. If this continued, perhaps even more people would fall here. In the face of life and death, no one was unafraid of death. Run. No one was willing to stay and wait for death. Even so, in just a few dozen minutes, more than 10,000 Starry Sky cultivators had fallen. Longao had forcibly devoured their essence spirits, preparing to refine them into Starry Sky soul slaves. What kind of concept was that? Longao was truly enraged this time. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to kill tens of thousands of people at once. The dense crowd had disappeared without a trace in just a few dozen minutes. All that was left were countless corpses scattered on the ground. At a glance, there were corpses everywhere. Longao did not linger. Even though his cultivation state had successfully broken through to a grade 8 Starry Sky, compared to Tian Dao and the others, it was still not enough. As for the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda, Longao was also extremely depressed. According to Longao, now that the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda had lost 2 guardians, it was best not to strike at this time. Otherwise, not only would they not be able to kill the enemy, they might even end up losing the rice used to lure them. By then, it would truly be a tragedy. Longao left for about 2 hours. Those who failed to kill Tian Dao returned to their original spot. Looking at the corpses all over the ground, Hong Lin, Chi Tian and the others had no idea what had happened. They didn't know why, but in just 2 hours, more than 10,000 people had died. Who had done it? Even the Starry Sky Domain Lord couldn't do it. Even the Starry Sky Domain Emperor would find it difficult. Could it be the Starry Sky Domain Emperor? Currently, there were 8 Starry Sky Domain Emperors in the Sky Martial Continent. Besides Feng Buxiu and the other 6 Starry Sky Domain Emperors, the rest were the Domain Emperors of the Heavenly Dao Domain and the Domain Emperors of the Sky Tyrant Domain. It was impossible for Tian Dao to do it. As for the other 6 Starry Sky Domain Emperors, it was even more impossible. They had been together all the time. Unless the 6 of them had a doppelganger technique, there was no need for them to kill people. In that case, there was only one possibility: it was the Domain Emperors of the Sky Tyrant Domain. The 2 of them didn't suspect the Divine Mathematician at all. The reason was simple. With the Divine Mathematician's strength, not to mention killing these people, he could even slaughter everyone without a problem. At first, they thought it was the Domain Emperors of the Sky Tyrant Domain. However, when the 2 Starry Sky Territory ancestors got the answer, they were dumbfounded. No one believed that Longao had done it. Could it be that Longao's cultivation had broken through the Domain Emperors of the Sky Tyrant Domain? Impossible, as everyone knew, Longao was just a grade 3 Starry Sky cultivator. Not to mention slaughtering tens of thousands of Starry Sky cultivators, even if he encountered a grade 7 Starry Sky cultivator, grade 8 Starry Sky cultivator, or grade 9 Starry Sky cultivator, it was still unknown whether Longao could resist them. No one had believed Tian Dao's words before, but now everyone believed it. In their opinion, with Longao's strength, even if he had many trump cards, it was impossible for him to kill more than 10,000 cultivators. It seemed like it was because of the 7 Orifices' exquisite pagoda. And now, Longao's whereabouts were unknown. Everybody was enraged. Apparently, Longao was playing with them. It was a tragic thing. Moreover, the 2 Starry Sky Territory Lords were sure that Longao wasn't strong enough to resist them. Otherwise, Longao wouldn't have run away. He would have stayed and waited for them. If that was the case, everything would be easy. The 2 Starry Sky Territory ancestors were afraid of Longao. No matter what, with his strength and innate talent, if he was given a few more years, once Longao's strength increased, they would be in big trouble. They had to find Longao's traces as soon as possible, but in this vast sea of people, it was very difficult to find a trace of a person without releasing their aura to lock on. The 2 of them cursed the Divine Mathematician in their hearts. Although they had the strength of a Starry Sky Domain Lord, they couldn't do anything at this time. It was a very depressing thing. They didn't wait for death. The 2 Starry Sky Territory ancestors sent out the kill order, trying their best to find Longao's trace. If it were in the past, people would have dared to come and find him. However, especially with the corpses of more than 10,000 cultivators in front of them, who dared to provoke Longao? P.S. The first chapter has been delivered. Chapter 1959. To look for Longao, could it be that he was tired of living? Today, Longao was like the god of slaughter. No one dared to approach him. That was why the 2 Territory ancestors' order to hunt him down had become a decoration. No one cared about it. Although the 2 Territory ancestors' conditions were tempting, no one was willing to take risks in the face of death. Longao's competence was too monstrous. He had killed more than 10,000 Starry Sky cultivators alone, including a level 9 one. It was unbelievable. After killing more than 10,000 Starry Sky soul slaves, Longao immediately began to refine the Starry Sky soul slave army. With Long Fu's help, there would be no problem. The Starry Sky soul slave army was Longao's biggest trump card. However, even if Long Fu wanted to refine it, it would take him at least 1 month. If it were the Long Fu from several years ago, not to mention 1 month, even if it took him 10 years, he wouldn't be able to do it. After refining the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda, Longao was confident. Inside the cave, Longao cultivated with all his might. Although his cultivation had already broken through to grade 8 starry sky cultivator, he still needed to stabilize his realm. Right at this moment, the void in the 9 heavens was torn open. The marvelous mathematician walked in from the vast starry sky. Long Mia, show yourself? The dragon seal in Long Ao's body shot out a black light. Long Ao didn't notice it at all. Long Mia's figure appeared. Marvelous mathematician, long time no see. How have you been? Long Mia wasn't surprised. After all, he was in the sky martial plane. It was impossible for the marvelous mathematician to not notice him. However, they had been living in harmony for so many years. No one wanted to expose it. Long Mia, we made a deal. Do you want to break it? The marvelous mathematician's face was dark. It turned out that the marvelous mathematician had known that Long Ao had the dragon seal. That was why he had started to pay attention to Long Ao. Otherwise, would the marvelous mathematician care about Long Ao? Genius? A peerless genius? In Master God Diviner's eyes, even the most amazing of geniuses was nothing but bullshit. After all, there were plenty of people in the universe who were more talented than Long Ao. It was because of the dragon seal, because of the dragon annihilation. Master God Diviner, I'm sure you're aware of my situation. Don't tell me I don't want to come to your territory? The two of them took a step forward and arrived at the Outer Sea Crystal Palace. It's been so many years, Master God Diviner. Have you found it? He shook his head. Master God Diviner sighed. So many years have passed, and I've searched countless planes of existence. But I still haven't been able to find him. What about you? Same here. Both of them felt helpless. If someone else gets there before us, then the two of us will be in big trouble. Master God Diviner, there's something I don't understand. Why do you open the plane every 10,000 years to let in cultivators from the starry sky? Draconic Annihilation could not figure this out. Could it be that the Oracle was really looking for a successor? This was simply nonsense. After so many years, I'm tired. I don't want to go out anymore. I have no choice but to open the sky martial plane and hope to find him. At this point, Master God Diviner seemed to think of something and suddenly asked, Draconic Annihilation, I'd like to ask you, why did you choose Long Ao? Master God Diviner was well aware of Draconic Annihilation's situation. I've been reincarnated 100 times, but I've never been able to transcend the cycle of reincarnation. Only in this life did Long Ao give me hope. If I can use him to transcend the cycle of reincarnation, then I'll be a successor. He didn't continue, but Master God Diviner knew what he meant. Master God Diviner, don't try to get Long Ao's attention, and you can't kill him. In that case, I choose to give up. Although Master God Diviner was unwilling and angry, his opponent's strength was obvious. If he fought force with force, he might not necessarily win. In Master God Diviner's opinion, it was not worth it to sacrifice Long Ao. Thank you. Draconic Annihilation, Xiling has left the sky martial plane. Seems like he hasn't found him yet. If you had joined hands with me, I'm sure we could have swallowed Xiling. Perhaps our strengths could have advanced further. Draconic Annihilation didn't answer. He turned around and left. Shortly after, he disappeared without a trace. Harumph, sooner or later, I'll kill all of you. Master God Diviner was enraged. No matter if it was Xiling or Draconic Annihilation, they didn't care about him and directly intruded into his territory. If he had the confidence to kill them, he wouldn't have endured it. Draconic Annihilation returned to the dragon mark. Long Ao didn't know that, so he was still consolidating his realm. A grade 8 Starry Sky cultivator was only one step away from becoming a grade 9 Starry Sky cultivator. Because of draconic annihilation, Master God Diviner didn't care about anything else. In other words, even if the two territory ancestors wanted to kill Longao, Master God Diviner wouldn't stop them. However, Longao didn't want anyone to help him. It was better to rely on oneself than on others. After 3 days and 3 nights, Longao finally stabilized his level 8 Starry Sky cultivator. He stood up, stretched his body, and walked out of the cave. Feng Changsho, I'll make you pay the price. Longao didn't want to give up his hatred. The 3 of them had killed Murong Guena. 2 of them had been killed, leaving only Murong Guena. He had decided that no matter what happened, no matter what danger he would encounter, he would kill Feng Changsho to avenge Uncle Murong. However, Longao did not act recklessly. He knew very well that even if his cultivation had broken through the grade 8 Starry Sky cultivator, he was not an opponent of a Starry Sky domain emperor. After all, they were not on the same level. What should he do? It was hard for others to find Longao, but it was easy for Longao to find them. Wanshou sect. As soon as Longao stepped into the Wanshou sect, he located Shirpatian. You've come. Wanshou ancestor and Shirchong had left the Wanshou sect and were now in the Heavenly Tao Union. Although Shirpotian's cultivation had reached level 2 Starry Sky cultivator, it was not enough to face the current Longao. How could Shirpatian not know this? Shirpatian seemed to have given up all hope. He thought that his strength had skyrocketed and he could compete with Longao, but he never thought that Longao's height was so high that he couldn't even see it, let alone touch it. Now, Shirpatian regretted his actions to the extreme. If he had known this, he would have killed Longao. If that was the case, he wouldn't be in such trouble now. However, it was too late to regret now. Because of this, Shirpatian didn't leave the Wanshou sect for the Heavenly Tao Union, but stayed in the Wanshou sect to wait for Longao. He firmly believed that one day, Longao would definitely come to find him. Sure enough, it happened. P.S. Chapter 2. Chapter 1960. Since you know that I will come, why are you still here? Longao was also surprised, because he could clearly sense that Shirpatian was obviously waiting for him here. Was Shirpatian not afraid of death? He didn't believe that Shirpatian was not afraid of death. Since that was the case, why? So what if I go to the Heavenly Law Alliance? Will you let me go? Longao was surprised. He didn't expect Shirpatian to answer like this. Longao, the grudge between us is settled today. I don't need you to do anything, but before I die, I have a request. I hope you can promise me. I can't promise you. There was no need for the other party to say anything. Longao already guessed what Shirpatian was going to say. Shirchong must die. Not only Shirchong, but also the Wanshou ancestor. Longao, my life in exchange for my father's life, are you still not willing? Shirpatian was a little angry, but he didn't dare to do anything because he knew that even if he did, he would die. Shirpatian wanted to use his own life in exchange for the safety of his father and the Wanshou sect. Since Shirpatian was like this, Longao didn't hate Shirpatian that much. Shirpatian, do you think you are qualified to bargain with me? No. He was telling the truth. Shirpatian let out a deep sigh, thinking about how strong Longao was. He felt powerless. If Longao really attacked, not only him, but even the ancestor and the Wanshou sect would all die. Was this the end? He didn't want to. If the Wanshou sect could be saved, then they could rise again. If the Wanshou sect was destroyed, then it would be the end of the world. Shirpatian, I can give you a chance. Shirpatian was overjoyed. He asked impatiently, as long as you let my father and the Wanshou sect go, I can promise you anything. Longao wasn't soft-hearted, but Shirpatian was willing to sacrifice himself to save his father and the Wanshou sect. This alone was worth giving him a chance. The Wanshou sect and Shirpatian, including Shurchong and the Wan Shou ancestor, were no longer a threat to him. The distance was too great. My request is very simple. As long as your father and the myriad beasts' ancestor are willing to submit to me, not only will I let you go, I can even promise you that you'll be able to go further in the future. He wasn't surprised at all because Shurpatian had already guessed it. In the past, Shurpatian definitely wouldn't have been willing to submit. But now, with Longao's strength, following Longao might not be a bad thing. You're not willing? No. Shurpatian looked troubled and said helplessly, I'm fine with it, and so is my father. Only the great ancestor, I'm worried that he won't agree. Shurchong and the myriad beasts' ancestor were no longer the same as before. With the help of the heavenly Tao, the myriad beasts' ancestor had reached the starry sky domain lord realm, while Shurchong had become a grade 9 starry sky cultivator. I'll give you 1 day. At this time tomorrow, I need an answer. Thank you. Shurpatian turned around and left. Before long, he already disappeared from sight. Big brother, do you really believe in Shurpatian? Long Chong appeared beside Longao. With the departure of Xiling, Bai Ling, and Long Ming, only Long Chong was left by Long Chong's side. I believe in him. Longao had full confidence that Shurpatian wouldn't play any tricks with him. This was a kind of intuition, but Longao trusted it very much. Big brother, what if Shurchong and the myriad beasts' ancestor don't want to submit? Long Chong's meaning was very clear. After all, the possibility of the two choosing to submit was too small, especially the myriad beasts' ancestor. He was almost certain that the myriad beasts' ancestor would never choose to submit. Kill. Longao continued, as for Shurpatian and Shurchong, if they're willing to submit, I'll welcome them. A level 2 starry sky cultivator and a level 9 starry sky cultivator would be of great use to the Dragon Valley. In this world, there were no eternal enemies and no eternal friends. Friends could become enemies and enemies could become friends. Big brother, you have to be careful. I know. By the way, how's your situation? Long Chong's situation seemed a bit strange. He wasn't an ordinary giant dragon at all. If there was no accident, Long Chong should belong to the Starry Sky Divine Dragon. As for what race he belonged to, it was unknown. Big brother, after I enter the vast starry sky, I will find out my origin. And Longao didn't leave the Myriad Beast sect, because even if Shurpatian chose to be shameless and brought the heavenly Tao, he could still deal with it. That was why Longao was fearless. Time passed in the blink of an eye. The next day, just as dusk fell, 2 figures came quickly. It was Shurpatian and Shurchong. Have you decided? It seemed that the Myriad Beast sect ancestor wasn't willing to submit at all. Fortunately, Shurchong and Shurpatian chose to submit. In this case, even Longao was relieved. Master, I have discussed with my father. We are willing to submit to you. Both Shurpatian and Shurchong knew very well that if they continued to stay in the Heavenly Tao Union, when the Starry Sky Secret Realm opened, all the Starry Sky cultivators would enter the Starry Sky Secret Realm. Shurchong even had a feeling that after a year, when all the Starry Sky cultivators entered the Starry Sky Secret Realm, the Heavenly Tao would definitely burn the bridge after crossing the river. What would the two of them do then? Although Longao was their enemy, the two of them believed in Longao's character. Between the Heavenly Tao and Longao, the two of them were willing to choose Longao over the Heavenly Tao. Otherwise, Shurchong wouldn't have chosen to submit to Longao. Master, since Patian and I have chosen to submit to the Dragon Sect, we will follow you even if we die. As for the Myriad Beasts sect ancestor, his life and death have nothing to do with us in the future. As expected of an old fox, Shurchong immediately expressed his loyalty. Longao smiled and said, Shurchong, I am different from the Heavenly Tao. I am also different from others. Since you and Shurpatian have chosen to join the Dragon Sect, I will treat you as my own people in the future. Now, I will take you to find the Starry Sky Domain Lord Godhead so that you can break through to the Starry Sky Domain Lord Godhead in the shortest time possible. The two of them were shocked. After all, the Starry Sky Domain Lord Godhead wasn't a cabbage that could be found on the street. Even the Heavenly Tao didn't have that many. Otherwise, everyone could be made into a Starry Sky Domain Lord. However, the two of them didn't have the slightest doubt because with Longao's character and previous actions, it seemed that if he said something, he would definitely do it. P.S. Chapter 3 sent here. Chapter 1961. The Wan Shou sect only existed in name. However, Longao didn't touch the Wan Shou sect because he didn't want to alert the enemy. Even if the Dragon sect was willing to swallow the Wan Shou sect, they couldn't do it. The massacre abyss was sealed and they couldn't come out. Longao took the two of them to find the foreign domain lords. Among the Starry Sky experts who entered the Sky Martial Plane, there were 2 Starry Sky Territory ancestors, 6 Starry Sky Territory emperors, and more than 100 Starry Sky Territory lords and Starry Sky Territory emperors. Killing a Starry Sky Territory lord wasn't difficult. The 8th level Starry Sky realm increased Longao's confidence to a whole new level. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. Longao didn't know if they were lucky or not, but they ran into Feng Buxiu. Shirpatian and Shirchong were afraid of him. No matter what, Feng Buxiu was still a Starry Sky Territory Emperor, one of the 6 great Starry Sky Territory Emperors. Were they really that unlucky? They had just decided to follow Longao, and now they ran into a Starry Sky Territory Emperor. It was so frustrating. Longao, you didn't die. I admire you. I will avenge Uncle Murong. They already knew about Murong Guena's death, but they didn't expect that Longao would really fight the powerful Starry Sky Territory Emperor for Murong Guena. Longao was Feng Buxiu's opponent? They didn't want to believe it. After all, it was too unbelievable. Just you? Feng Buxiu's face was full of disdain. Even if Longao's cultivation had improved greatly and he was now a Starry Sky Territory cultivator, he was still an ant in front of him. A Starry Sky Territory Emperor wasn't someone a Starry Sky Territory cultivator could compete with. As for Longao's cultivation speed, compared to Shirchong, Shirchong was obviously faster. However, one should not forget that Longao had relied on his own cultivation to break through to become a Grade 8 Starry Sky cultivator. However, Shirchong and the others relied on devouring Starry Sky godheads and the help of the Heavenly Tao to improve. There were benefits, but at the same time there were huge hidden dangers. Longao took out a small pagoda. It was the 7 Orifices exquisite pagoda. He took 3 steps back. With a face full of fear, Feng Buxiu finally knew why Longao was so fearless. It turned out that what the Heavenly Tao said was true. Longao had really refined the 7 Orifices exquisite pagoda. As a legendary artifact in the vast universe, Feng Wuchang was very afraid of the 7 Orifices exquisite pagoda. Am I qualified now? You can try to see if you're qualified, Longao. Without waiting for Feng Buxiu to finish his words, Longao directly struck out a palm towards him. A spatial crack appeared in the space on the left, as if it wanted to devour everything. It was the spatial crack. What he feared would come true. Now that Longao's cultivation had improved, the power of the shattering the Starry Sky had improved tremendously. Even Feng Buxiu did not dare to be careless, as he would surely die if he was devoured by the rift. We'll meet again in the future. Longao, just you wait. Longao did not chase after him, but watched him leave. He knew that he was no match for him. As for the 7 Orifices exquisite pagoda, he could not use it yet. Without full confidence, he chose to give up first. There was still plenty of time in the future. Looking at the disappearing figure, both Shirpatian and Shirchong heaved a sigh of relief. Feng Buxiu really chose to leave? Until now, the two of them still could not believe that Longao was so powerful that he could scare off a starry sky domain emperor. If they did not see it with their own eyes, they would not believe it. Between the two of them, especially Shirpatian, he found that the gap between him and Longao was getting bigger and bigger. It had reached an untouchable level. You two don't have to be surprised. You're just a starry sky domain emperor. In the future, both of you will become starry sky domain emperors. Was it possible? The two of them smiled helplessly. Being able to reach this level was already a blessing in disguise, let alone going one step further and becoming the so-called starry sky domain emperor. It was something unimaginable. Longao did not say much. After all, this kind of thing depended on the result. No matter what he said now, the two of them would not believe him. Shirpatian, you're just a grade 2 starry sky cultivator now? Shirpatian nodded. There was no other way. He could not devour a higher grade starry sky godhead, nor did he have the help of the heavenly Tao. It was already good enough that he could devour a grade 2 starry sky godhead and break through to grade 2. Here are 6 starry sky godhead. Devour them one by one. If there are no accidents, you will soon become a grade 8 starry sky cultivator. The 6 starry sky godheads were grade 3, grade 4, grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, and grade 8 starry sky godhead. Reaching out to take the 6 starry sky godheads, Shirpatian said gratefully, "Many thanks." Shirpatian did not hesitate and immediately started devouring the starry sky god deities. He devoured 6 starry sky god deities in a row. However, under normal circumstances, it would not be easy for Shirpatian to break through to grade 8 starry sky cultivator. Fortunately, with the help of Longao and Shirchong, this time would be greatly shortened. When Myriad Beast's ancestor learned that the two of them had betrayed the sect and pledged allegiance to Longao, he immediately flew into a rage. If not for the heavenly Tao stopping him, Myriad Beast's ancestor might have already attacked. Lord Heavenly Tao, Longao is very shameless. He tricked the two of them into pledging allegiance. I can't take this lying down. You can't take it lying down? I can't take it lying down. Previously, he had been ruthlessly played by Longao. Until now, Tian Dao had not recovered from his shock. Just when the heavenly Tao was about to say something, his expression changed and his figure disappeared instantly. Although a little surprised, Myriad Beast's ancestor was already used to it. Outer Sea, inside the Crystal Palace. Not only the heavenly Tao, but also Long Batian, who had also been summoned, arrived at the same time. Lord, do you have any orders for us? Long Batian's attitude was very respectful because he knew very well that everything he had now was given to him by the marvelous mathematician. As long as the marvelous mathematician wanted to, he could take everything away at any time. You can now enter the 4th space of the Starry Sky Secret Realm. Remember, how far you can go depends on you. No one can help you. As for the time, you are in control. The huge surprise almost made the two of them faint. They had thought that they would have to wait for another year to enter the Starry Sky Secret Realm, but it never occurred to them that they would be able to enter the Starry Sky Secret Realm without waiting for another year. Was this real? Go. With a wave of his hand, the two of them disappeared and entered the Starry Sky Secret Realm in an instant. P.S. The 4th chapter is here. Chapter 1962. The two of them had no idea why Master Godly Mathematician would suddenly change his mind. According to Master Godly Mathematician's previous decision, the Star Secret Realm would only open after a year. Was there something fishy? Although the two of them had their suspicions, being able to enter the Star Secret Realm was great news. Danger? Danger and opportunity coexisted. Without danger, there would be no opportunity. The two of them knew what the 4th space of the Star Secret Realm meant. The two of them had already broken through to the Starry Sky Domain Emperor Realm. If they could advance further, they would officially become Starry Sky Domain ancestors. There's not much time left. A heavy sigh suddenly came from inside the Crystal Palace. It was hard to imagine what could make Master Godly Mathematician like this. The moment Tian Dao entered the Star-Secret Realm, his voice spread across the entire Tianwu continent. The Heavenly Dao Alliance was disbanded. Everyone was shocked because something must have happened for the Heavenly Dao to suddenly dissolve the Heavenly Dao Alliance. Otherwise, why would the Heavenly Dao do such a thing? The most depressed ones were Xing Kuan, Thousand Beasts' ancestor, and Long Tian. The Heavenly Law Alliance's acceptance meant that they would become meat on the chopping block, and they would be at the mercy of others. The Starry Sky Domain Lord was not an invincible existence in the current Tianwu continent. Fortunately, the enemy's target was not them. Otherwise, they could imagine what would happen to them. Even so, Long Tian and the others were constantly on tenterhooks, afraid that someone would deal with them. As the saying goes, those who are barefooted are not afraid of those who are wearing shoes. In a valley with a good environment. Hearing Tian Dao's voice, Hong Lin and Qi Tian's expressions changed. Others might not know what this meant, but how could they not know? If I'm not mistaken, Tian Dao and Long Batian have already entered the Star-Secret Realm. Qi Tian Territory Ancestor nodded in agreement. His face grew colder. As a Starry Sky Territory Ancestor, he was being manipulated by others. It was a great humiliation. What a good Master Godly Mathematician! Calm down. We're in a passive position now. We can only wait. The two of them could not figure out why Master Godly Mathematician would suddenly open the Star-Secret Realm and let them enter. There must be something fishy. Even if there was something fishy, there was nothing they could do. Since there are still 10 months, we'll go all out to hunt Longao. If we can get the secret divine ability and enter the Star-Secret Realm, we'll have a better chance. Since things had already come to this point, this was the only way. Everybody listen up. In 3 days, the Territory Ancestor Peak will descend to this world. No matter who you are, if you want to enter the Star-Secret Territory in 10 months, you must find the key from the Territory Ancestor Peak. Hearing Master Godly Mathematician's words, everyone was completely stunned. Wasn't everyone allowed to enter the Star-Secret Realm? Why did they have to snatch the key? Master Marvelous Mathematician's words came one more time. He meant that the Territory Ancestor Peak had descended and only 1,000 keys were available. The one with the keys could enter the Star-Secret Domain in 10 months. Otherwise, he wouldn't be qualified to enter the Star-Secret Domain. Anger. Everyone was furious to the extreme. But so what if he was angry? As the ruler of the Starry Sky Secret Realm, the Marvelous Mathematician could do whatever he wanted. However, 1,000 keys were not enough. After all, there were still more than 80,000 Starry Sky cultivators left. What kind of concept was that? 2 words, snatch. Once such a situation occurred, there would only be one result, and that was to wage war against each other. At that time, rivers of blood would flow. Not only that. Once the Territory Ancestor Peak descended, all the cultivators in the universe would be able to snatch the key to enter the Star-Secret Realm. They would also be able to snatch 10 Universal Domain Ancestor Godhead. Greed. Everybody was boiling because they were looking forward to the arrival of the Territory Ancestor Peak. Not to mention the 1,000 keys, the 10 Universal Domain Ancestor Godheads were too tempting. It wasn't something that anyone could resist. Master, are we going to fight for it too? Of course, why not? Of course, Shi Chong and Shi Patian wanted to go too. If they were lucky enough to get the Universal Domain Ancestor Godhead, they would definitely get the Universal Domain Ancestor Godhead. At that time, no one in this vast world could be their match. How could Longao not know what the two people were thinking? You two should be careful. No one knows what will happen when the Territory Ancestor Peak descends this time. Don't think about snatching the universal domain ancestor Godhead. If it's yours, it's yours. If it's not yours, it's not yours. We understand. Of course, they knew how dangerous it was. When the territory ancestor peak arrived, so many starry sky cultivators would come, including 2 territory ancestors and 6 territory emperors of starry sky. If they acted rashly against such super experts, they would be in big trouble. Not only Longao's team, but everyone else was heading to their destination. Although the territory ancestor peak would descend in 3 days, they couldn't wait any longer. Even if they couldn't enter the star's secret realm, it didn't matter. As long as they could get the universal domain ancestor Godhead, it was better than anything else. With this thought in mind, all the cultivators in the universe, whether they were from other places or from the sky martial plane, hurried to the territory ancestor peak to wait for its arrival. The news of the territory ancestor peak's arrival swept across the entire sky martial continent. Dusk arrived. An open space was sealed. No matter who it was, even the 2 territory ancestors couldn't get close to it. Everyone knew that the divine mathematician had sealed this place. They had to wait for the territory ancestor peak to descend in 3 days. No one knew that Master Divine Diviner would do such a thing at this moment. However, no matter what Master Divine Diviner's intention was, there were 10 universal domain ancestor godheads in front of them. No matter who obtained them, they could devour the universal domain ancestor godheads and break through to the universal domain ancestor realm. Not to mention the others, even the 2 territory ancestors couldn't resist such temptation. Besides the key to enter the star's secret realm, if they could get the universal domain ancestor Godhead, they could create another territory ancestor Godhead. Thinking about that, the 2 territory ancestors decided to try their best to get the 10 universal domain ancestor Godhead. That way, they could create 10 territory ancestors, which would be very helpful to them. The waiting time was long and no one wanted to leave. Anyway, there were only 3 days. To them, it was just a blink of an eye. Time flew and the night came. No one rested. They sat in their respective places. Some were resting, some were chatting, and some were doing other things. Everyone was waiting for 3 days. Chapter 1963. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. The morning light slowly shrouded the land. Boom! A loud explosion tore through the sky. A giant mountain fell from the sky, emitting a terrifying aura. It fell directly into the seal. At first glance, the giant mountain seemed to connect heaven and earth. The territory ancestor peak had arrived. Seeing the territory ancestor peak descending, the surrounding people all flew toward the mountain. However, they felt helpless as there was only one entrance to the mountain. It was depressing. Everyone stopped except for the 2 starry sky territory ancestors and the 6 starry sky territory emperors. They didn't hesitate to enter. Once they entered, even if they got the starry sky territory ancestors Godhead, what if they couldn't get out in time? Wouldn't they die for sure? Although the starry sky territory ancestors Godhead was tempting, it wasn't enough compared to life and death. Should they give up like this? They weren't willing. In the face of death, some people weren't afraid of death. Seeing the 8 people enter the entrance, many of them gritted their teeth and strode toward the entrance. There were more than 80,000 cultivators in the starry sky. 90% of them chose to enter, and the remaining 10% chose to leave. More than 70,000 cultivators in the starry sky. However, they had underestimated the size of the territory ancestor peak. As soon as they stepped through the entrance, the space in front of them was too big. Let alone 70,000 starry sky cultivators, even 7 million or 70 million starry sky cultivators wouldn't be a problem. 10 starry sky territory ancestors Godheads and 1,000 keys. As soon as they entered the territory ancestor peak, they started to look for the keys and the starry sky territory ancestors Godhead. Besides the two Starry Sky Territory ancestors, everyone had decided to leave the Territory Ancestor Peak as soon as they found the keys and the Starry Sky Territory Ancestors' Godhead. Otherwise, not to mention the keys and the Starry Sky Territory Ancestors' Godheads, they might not even be able to survive. Longao's group was the last to enter the Territory Ancestor Peak. As soon as they entered, they became the center of attention. Longao wasn't dead. The two level 9 Starry Sky cultivators weren't far from Longao. Just as they were about to attack, Longao struck first. Time sure kill technique. Under the time lock, Longao used the 36 styles of reincarnation. Using the finger as a sword, 2 strands of sword chi shot through the air. Before the two of them could react, they were struck by the 2 strands of samsara sword chi. Their bodies and souls directly vanished. Killing 2 grade 9 Starry Sky cultivators in one move? Longao's strength had thoroughly awed everyone in the surroundings. Everyone who was about to make a move forcefully held themselves back. Those who approach me will be killed without mercy. Hong Lin, Chi Tian, and the 6 Starry Sky Domain Emperors all headed in different directions. The intention of the 8 of them was very clear. At the moment, no one was willing to provoke Longao. If they won, everyone would be happy. What if he lost? Seeing that the 8 of them were unwilling to make a move, the others were even more unwilling. First, he had to find the key and the Starry Sky Godhead. Everyone began to search frantically. It wasn't something that could be obtained with great power. It depended more on luck. One of the level 6 Starry Sky cultivators had successfully found a key after entering the Territory Ancestor Peak for less than 10 minutes. This person's request wasn't excessive. He just wanted a key to enter the Starry Sky secret territory in 10 months. As for the Starry Sky Domain Ancestor Godhead, he didn't even think about it. One should do things according to one's capability. This person was self-aware. As soon as he got the key, he was ready to leave. What was the result? Before he could react, he was besieged by a group of people. He didn't even have time to run before he was beaten into nothingness. A single key had already caused countless people to fight over it. Although there were 1,000 keys in the Territory Ancestor Peak, everyone knew that it was better to get it first. What if they couldn't get it after 10 months? They had to get the Starry Sky secret territory. Otherwise, why would they enter the heavenly martial realm? Looking at the bloody battle in the distance, Longao shook his head helplessly. Master, what should we do now? You too should be careful. Try to find the key and the Starry Sky Domain Ancestor Godhead. Remember, if someone gets the key, throw it away. Although the key was precious, the two of them were the most important in Longao's heart. Not to mention the key, Longao wouldn't even exchange the Starry Sky Domain Ancestor Godhead. The two of them were touched, but they didn't say anything. They turned around and walked in another direction. Long Fu, can you sense the location of the Starry Sky Godhead? Master, the Territory Ancestor Peak is sealed by the marvelous mathematician. I can't release my aura. But, Master, you must be careful. I feel that something is wrong with this place. Long Fu nodded. Since he couldn't sense the location of the Starry Sky Godhead, he could only rely on himself. There were 70 to 80,000 Starry Sky cultivators, but only 1,000 were available. The marvelous mathematician's intention was clear. With so many people fighting for the key, there would only be one result. Blood would flow like a river. At that time, countless Starry Sky cultivators would die. Was that the result the marvelous mathematician wanted? In the past, Starry Sky cultivators were the strongest experts in the Sky Martial continent. They stood high above the continent. However, the situation was different now. Starry Sky cultivators were like cabbages on the street. They could have as many people as they wanted. Not to mention 1 or 2 people dying, even if 1,000 or 100 of them died, it wouldn't be a big deal. Longao had killed more than 20,000 Starry Sky cultivators, but it didn't cause a big commotion. If it happened in the past, the Sky Martial continent would be in an uproar. Domain Monarch Yibu took action and the key ended up in his hands. Under the deterrence of his powerful strength, no one dared to fight with Yibu for it. As for the other 5 domain monarchs, they wouldn't fall out with Yibu over a key. For the sake of a key, dozens of Starry Sky cultivators had already died in just a few minutes. At this rate, there was no need to wait for the Starry Sky secret realm to open. It was believed that 70 to 80,000 Starry Sky cultivators would die. It was a very scary thing. Feng Wuchang. Just as Longao was looking for the key and the Starry Sky territory ancestor godhead, he saw his own worry. It would have been better if he hadn't seen it. As soon as he saw it, he became angry. Longao didn't even look for the key and the Starry Sky territory ancestor godhead. He shot toward Feng Wuchang. Before the person arrived, the reincarnation sword Qi had already cut through the vast sky, like a long rainbow, fiercely slashing towards Feng Wuxiong. Now, Longao's cultivation had successfully broken through to the 8th level of Starry Sky cultivator. His strength was enough to threaten Feng Wuxiong's life. P.S. Send the first chapter. Chapter 1964. Anger. At this time, Longao still dared to attack him. He did not put him in his eyes at all. This was unbearable. If he continued to endure at this time, where would he put his face? Thinking of this, Feng Wuchang counterattacked. While dodging, his entire person also rushed towards Longao. Just in time. Longao was afraid that Feng Wuxiong would not fight, but he knew very well that with his strength alone, he could not kill the other party. The Starry Sky Region Emperor was far above a level 8 Starry Sky cultivator. The gap was too big. He did not dare to be the slightest careless. Using his finger as a sword, the reincarnation sword Qi constantly shot out, and the Starry Sky cracks appeared. Feng Wuxiong, who was full of confidence, suddenly saw the Starry Sky cracks appear around him. He did not dare to fight head-on. This was also the most frustrating thing for Feng Wuxiong. The Starry Sky cracks were the nemesis of Starry Sky cultivators. Even with his strength, once he was swallowed by the Starry Sky cracks, he would die. Longao, you are really shameless. Feng Wuxiong did not care. If the other party was a Starry Sky Region Emperor or Starry Sky Region Emperor, once he used the Starry Sky cracks, he would not be able to resist. But the situation was a little different now. Longao's realm was too low. Even if he broke through continuously, he would only be a level 8 Starry Sky cultivator, which was far from his realm. Even if he used the Starry Sky cracks, he would not be his opponent. Fight. Longao could clearly feel that the other party did not put him in his eyes at all. Not to mention Feng Wuxiong, he believed that no matter who it was, he would not put them in his eyes. This was the result that Longao wanted. The reincarnation heavenly eye started to attack the primordial spirit directly. Under normal circumstances, Longao could not successfully attack with the help of the primordial spirit, but the situation was a little different now. With such a big difference in realm, using the primordial spirit to attack was simply a dead end. Longao dared to use the primordial spirit to attack? From the beginning to the end, Feng Wuxiong never thought that Longao would really use the primordial spirit to attack. Ah! There was a scream. The opportunity came. The attack was successful. Longao's heart suddenly rejoiced. Just as he was about to continue to attack, Feng Wuxiong, who had just injured the primordial spirit, suddenly counterattacked. He was startled. As expected of the Starry Sky Domain Emperor, Longao finally understood how powerful the Starry Sky Domain Emperor was. Even after being attacked by his own primordial spirit, the Starry Sky Domain Emperor was still able to resist. In the blink of an eye, he had already disappeared with the help of spatial teleportation. He didn't continue the chase. Feng Buxiu's face was gloomy and pale. It was as ugly as it could get. Fortunately, his primordial spirit was strong. Otherwise, he would have been killed by the other party's primordial spirit attack. Now that he thought about it, he felt a lingering fear. The battle between Feng Buxiu and Longao would definitely cause an uproar if it was any other time. However, at this moment, no one gave it a second glance. Everyone was focused on finding the key and the starry sky godhead. Brother Feng, are you injured? Seeing that Feng Buxiong's Yuan spirit was heavily injured, Yibu naturally knew what had happened. He found it hard to believe, because he really couldn't understand, with Longao's strength, why would he dare to use his Yuan spirit to attack, and even succeed, causing Feng Buxiong's Yuan spirit to be heavily injured? I was careless and was successfully attacked by Longao. He was enraged to the extreme. He was almost killed by Longao. It was a great humiliation, a humiliation that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Brother Feng, why don't we join hands? How could Feng Buxiu not know what Yibu meant? Under such circumstances, joining hands was indeed the best choice. Thinking of this, Feng Buxiu nodded and said, "No problem. No matter what we get, we'll share it equally." Exactly. In the distance, seeing that Yibu and Feng Buxiu had formed an alliance, Longao's face was solemn. One Feng Buxiu was hard enough to deal with, and now there was Yibu. With two Starry Sky Domain Emperors joining hands, he didn't stand a chance. Even so, he had to take revenge. However, Longao didn't act rashly. Not to mention the two joining hands, even one of them was hard to deal with. Feng Buxiu, I swear I'm not a human if I don't kill you. At this moment, the sect master of the Heaven and Earth sect, Yi Dugu, brought more than 100 level 9 Starry Sky cultivators to the territory Ancestor Peak. Seeing the situation, everybody was frightened. Not only did they have more than 100 level 9 Starry Sky cultivators, but they also had 10 Starry Sky Domain Emperors. Yi Dugu wasn't just a level 6 Starry Sky cultivator anymore. He was a real Starry Sky Domain Emperor. Others may be shocked, but Longao was not the slightest bit surprised, because he knew very well that with Yi Dugu's identity, not to mention hundreds of Starry Sky cultivators, even if there were thousands or tens of thousands of Starry Sky cultivators, it was nothing to worry about. Seeing such a strong team coming, besides the two territory ancestors, everybody else was solemn. They couldn't figure out why Yi Dugu had become so strong all of a sudden. Moreover, he had such a powerful team. As soon as they entered the territory Ancestor Peak, Yi Dugu walked directly to Longao with a smile. He came to Longao and said, "Brother Long, if you have any trouble, you can tell me directly. You and I will join hands. What do you think?" Could he refuse? No problem. Longao didn't use Yi Dugu's force to deal with Feng Buxiu because he had decided to take revenge for Uncle Morong himself. He didn't want to use the other's force. "Brother Long, I'll leave one of the 10 territory ancestors for you." He was very depressed. Was this considered cheating? Anyway, Yi Dugu had a special identity. It was hard for the others to find the Starry Sky territory ancestor's godhead, but to Yi Dugu it was easy. Longao thanked him and found an excuse to leave alone. He couldn't do anything if he stayed with Yi Dugu. The two territory ancestors were searching everywhere for the key and the Starry Sky territory ancestor's godhead. They had never thought that they couldn't find the key or the Starry Sky territory ancestor's godhead. How could they not be worried? Before they entered the territory Ancestor Peak, they were confident that it would be easy for them to find the key and the Starry Sky territory ancestor's godhead. However, after one whole day, they couldn't find the key or the Starry Sky territory ancestor's godhead. How could they not be worried? They were even more annoyed. In this situation, it wasn't enough to rely only on power. It depended on luck. Unknowingly, more than 10 people had found the key. The two of them had decided that if they couldn't find the key, they would have to take action. No matter what, they had to get the Starry Sky territory. P.S. Copy the second chapter. Chapter 1965. Those who weren't greedy chose to leave the territory Ancestor Peak as soon as they got the key. As for the greedy ones, even if they got the key, they still wanted to see the Starry Sky Godhead. The result? Those who stayed were unlucky. Many people started to fight crazily. Corpses appeared one after another. It was a terrifying scene because human lives were worthless in this place. Longao chose to give up on the key and the Starry Sky Godhead. He just stared at Feng Buxiu. He could give up the key. He could give up the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead. However, he couldn't give up on Feng Buxiu's revenge. He must take revenge for Uncle Morong. Thus, Feng Buxiu must die. Feng Buxiu, of course, understood the other party's intention. He was enraged to the extreme. Brother Yi, why don't we join hands and kill Longao? Feng Buxiu shook his head. Brother Yi, you don't want to? Feng Buxiu cursed inwardly. However, he didn't dare to offend him in this situation. It's easy to kill Longao. Our priority is to find the key and the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead. We'll have time in the future. Yi Bu's meaning was clear. He didn't care about Longao's life. The most important thing was the Starry Sky Godhead and the key to enter the Star Secret Realm. How could he not be angry? So what if they joined hands? Brother Yi, since that's the case, our cooperation ends here. I would rather give up the Starry Sky Divine Deity and the key to kill Longao. He couldn't bear this kind of humiliation. Thus, Feng Buxiu decided to kill Longao first. Then, he would get the Starry Sky Godhead and the so-called key. Feng Buxiu nodded helplessly. Since it had come to this, what else could he say? Yi Bu chose to leave. Feng Buxiu turned around to look at Longao. Then, he dashed forward like an arrow. Longao understood Feng Buxiu's intention. This was the result he wanted. If it was only Feng Buxiu, he might have a chance. If Feng Buxiu and Yi Bu joined hands, he wouldn't have a chance. Longao didn't choose to fight force with force. He turned around and left. The two of them crazily chased each other. The people around didn't care at all. After all, it was normal for people who had grudges against each other to fight. Brother Long, do you need my help? No need, I want to solve it myself. Yi Dugu's strength was there for all to see. Moreover, Yi Dugu had the support of the divine mathematician. If he wanted to kill Feng Buxiu, it would be a simple matter. Longao had a feeling that with Yi Dugu's competence, it wouldn't be hard to kill the two territory ancestors of the Starry Sky. Humph, he snorted coldly. Feng Buxiu had already raised his concentration to 120%. Even if the other party used a primordial spirit attack again, he would have the ability to deal with it. But Feng Wuxian was wrong. After Longao's successful essence spirit attack, he had never thought of using it a second time, a third time, or a fourth time. He knew that the other was on guard. If he continued to use the primordial spirit attack, wouldn't he be looking for trouble? Longao didn't just run crazily. From time to time, he swung his sword backhandedly. The reincarnation sword chi tore the sky like a rainbow. While Feng Buxiu was dodging, he was shocked to see the space slits on both sides. He had to stop to avoid being swallowed by the two space slits. The more it happened, the angrier Feng Buxiu became. He was so angry that he couldn't control his anger. However, Feng Buxiu was still scared. If he hadn't stopped in time, he would have been swallowed by the space slits, and he would have died without a burial place. Even so, Feng Buxiu didn't choose to give up. He chased after the other directly. This time, Feng Buxiu was much more careful. It was better to be safe than sorry. If he couldn't resist the other's space slits, the consequences would be unimaginable. Longao was still using his reincarnation sword chi. The space slits appeared from time to time, but not every time. Feng Buxiu felt like he wanted to die. Longao is coming to us? The two of them were trying their best to find the territory ancestor's godhead when they saw Longao coming toward them. They had a strange feeling. Kill? Or not? After pondering for a while, they decided to take action. Until now, they were still greedy for Longao's secret techniques and supernatural abilities. Take action. Territory ancestor Hong Lin and territory ancestor Qi Tian hadn't waited for Longao to come close. They had attacked him from both sides. Longao was in a dangerous situation. Under normal circumstances, they would have died without a doubt. But the result? Longao disappeared all of a sudden. Under the pincer attack of the 3 starry sky experts, he disappeared without a trace. Seeing this, both Feng Buxiu and the 2 territory ancestors gawked, looking at the empty space in front of them. What happened after all? Feng Buxiu didn't approach them because he didn't know if the 2 territory ancestors would attack him or not. Anyway, with their competence, how could he deal with them? Brother Hong, what did you sense just now? Hong Lin shook his head, his face solemn. If I'm not wrong, Longao should have a starry sky divine weapon, the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. Besides the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda, the 2 of them couldn't think of any other starry sky divine weapon Longao had. After all, he could use Longao to leave this place in a blink of an eye. If that was the case, it would be even more difficult to kill Longao in the future. The 2 of them clearly knew that even with their strength, they would not be able to stop Longao from entering the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. Thinking about this, the 2 of them became more solemn. With Longao's innate talents and potential, they believed that not long after, he would reach their level. At that time, not to mention killing Longao, they would be thankful if they didn't get killed by Longao. The more they thought about it, the more they wanted to kill Longao. They couldn't wait for a second. In fact, the 2 of them and Feng Buxiu had guessed wrong. Longao didn't enter the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda, but the dragon seal space. Even the territory ancestors couldn't stop him, which was Longao's biggest reliance. Right when the 2 of them were about to leave, Longao appeared and said coldly, "You 2 remember this. One day, I will send you into the reincarnation cycle." You? Being provoked by Longao, the 2 of them were enraged. As the territory ancestors of the starry sky, it was a great humiliation to be provoked by a starry sky cultivator. P.S. Copy of the 3rd chapter. Chapter 1966. It would be a lie if they said they weren't afraid. Longao's innate talent and potential were too intimidating. Even in the vast universe, he was a monstrous existence. The best solution was to eliminate the root of the problem and not give Longao a chance to grow. The 2 of them didn't move. They understood that Longao had the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. If they couldn't kill him in one strike, and if Longao didn't show up, things would become more troublesome. Longao disappeared one more time. The 2 of them sighed deeply. As territory ancestors of the Starry Sky territory, they were humiliated by a Starry Sky cultivator. There was no other way. The other had the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. No matter how strong they were, they couldn't kill Longao. As soon as the 2 of them left, Longao reappeared. His face was solemn. Although he had reached level 8, he couldn't resist 2 territory ancestors of the Starry Sky. The Starry Sky territory ancestors' godhead. On the 3rd day since the territory ancestor peak had descended, the day had just ended and dusk had just arrived. A fiery red Starry Sky godhead appeared in the sky. The first one to shoot out was Hong Lin's territory ancestor. The second one was Qi Tian's territory ancestor. Right after that, everyone rushed out crazily because they knew that if they could get the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's Godhead, they could become a Territory Ancestor in the future. Everybody was cursing the two Territory Ancestors of the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor in their minds. You're already Territory Ancestors of the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor, but you still want to snatch the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's Godhead. Shameless to the extreme. Kill! In front of the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's Godhead, the two of them had the intention to kill. Before they could snatch the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's Godhead, they had already attacked the surrounding people. In just a few minutes, hundreds of Starry Sky cultivators had fallen from the sky, crashing hard on the ground. The chance had come. Longao didn't try to snatch the Starry Sky Godhead. With so many experts here, it was almost impossible for him to do so. Instead of taking risks, it was better to snatch the Starry Sky Primordial Spirit. Among all the people here, no one was willing to snatch these so-called primordial spirits apart from him. If Longao didn't snatch it, then there was only one way for the primordial spirit to go. It would either disappear or enter the cycle of reincarnation. Yes. One by one, the Starry Sky cultivators fell from the sky and effortlessly placed their primordial spirits into the dragon seal space. This time, Longao did not continue to refine Starry Sky soul slaves. He already had an army of 20,000 Starry Sky soul slaves, which was more than enough for this situation. As for the future, once he entered the vast Starry Sky, he would need to refine more Starry Sky soul slaves. An essence divinity. 2 primordial spirit. 3, 4, 5 in just tens of minutes, Longao had already picked up over 300 primordial spirit. Honglin, why don't you let me have this Starry Sky Godhead first and I'll help you snatch the next one? Chi Tian and Honglin had come to the left and right sides of the Territory Ancestor God's Godhead. As for the others, they were afraid of the two of them. They didn't dare to take one step forward. Even so, they didn't want to leave. What if they were lucky? What if they could take advantage of the situation? No matter what, although Hong Lin and Chi Tian had a good relationship, their relationship was shattered in front of the Territory Ancestor God's Godhead. They might even start a war. If that happened, the others would still have a chance. Hong Lin laughed crazily and said, Chi Tian, why don't you let me have this Starry Sky Godhead and I'll help you get the next one? What do you think? They didn't want to give in. If neither of them gave in, there was only one result: a war. Instantly, the two of them engaged in a fierce battle. However, with their eyes and ears alert, no one dared to snatch the Godhead. If they were attacked by the two Territory Ancestors of the Starry Sky, wouldn't it be a dead end? Everybody hoped that when the two Territory Ancestors of the Starry Sky started a war, it would be either one of them dying. If both of them got hurt badly, their side would have a chance. Both of them should get hurt quickly. Hong Lin and Chi Tian were both Territory Ancestors of the Starry Sky, but they hadn't reached the peak of the Territory Ancestor realm. Thus, their competence wasn't much different from each other. It wasn't possible to determine the winner in a short time. The Starry Sky Territory Ancestor God's Godhead emitted waves of light, which made people's hearts itch. It was right in front of them, but they didn't dare to move. It was so frustrating. In just a blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged hundreds of moves. However, they still couldn't determine the winner. No more Starry Sky Primordial Spirits? After putting more than 300 Starry Sky Primordial Spirits into the Dragon Seal space, Longao lifted his head and looked at the battle between the Territory Ancestors of the Nine Heavens. He smiled all of a sudden. If you don't want it, I won't be polite. Longao understood that he had to take the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor God's Godhead as fast as he could. Otherwise, once people realized what he was doing, he would be in big trouble. It was really dangerous. However, after thinking for a while, Longao decided to take the risk. No matter what, it was a Starry Sky Territory Ancestor God's Godhead. Once he got it, even if he didn't swallow it, he could create another territory ancestor god. To him and the Dragon Valley, it was a good thing. Longao had thought about it. Once he left the Sky Martial continent and went to the vast universe, what would happen to his family? Although the Dragon Valley's competence wasn't bad, it wasn't enough. However, with teleport and the Dragon Seal space, Longao was confident that he could take the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor God's Godhead easily. No one noticed Longao. After all, Longao was just a level 8 Starry Sky cultivator. Even though he had many deadly attacks, his competence wasn't enough to catch people's attention. Thus, no one paid attention to Longao. Longao didn't act rashly. Since the two territory ancestors were fighting, their eyes and ears would be alert. If he couldn't hit the target with one strike, he would be attacked crazily by the two territory ancestors. In that case, the loss wouldn't be worth it. He had to wait for a chance. Their battle began to move. Although it was just a dozen meters away, Longao was ready to take action. He couldn't wait any longer. If the two territory ancestors stopped fighting, it would be impossible for him to get the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor God's Godhead. Others might not dare to act rashly, but Longao was different. With teleport, Longao disappeared from his spot. After 2 teleports, Longao appeared in front of the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor God's Godhead. P.S. Send the 4th chapter here. Chapter 1967. Longao, put down the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor God Godhead. Seeing Longao appear beside the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor God Godhead, everyone was dumbfounded. Longao's guts were too big for a goblin to appear out of nowhere. Of course, the two territory ancestors also saw Longao, and they knew what the other wanted to do. When the Sandpiper and the Clam fight, the fisherman benefits. Territory ancestor Hong Lin and territory ancestor Chi Tian didn't talk much. They crazily attacked Longao. Before they arrived, their attacks had already reached him. However, the result was Longao grabbed the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor God Godhead and disappeared on the spot. He disappeared right under everyone's noses. Everyone was stunned. The others were still okay. After all, with the two territory ancestors present, the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor God Godhead might not fall into someone else's hands. However, Longao's possession of the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor God Godhead made everyone feel uncomfortable. The most depressed ones were Hong Lin and Chi Tian. When the Sandpiper and the Clam fight, the fisherman benefits. Hong Lin, are you willing to see this result? F***ck off. After this incident, the relationship between the two of them was completely severed. Was this what friends were like? For a Starry Sky Territory Ancestor God Godhead, friends were no longer friends. They had shed all pretense of cordiality and even fought. If there was a chance, they would definitely kill each other. There were only 10 Universal Domain Ancestor Godheads in total, and one of them had appeared with great difficulty. But now, Longao had snatched it first. This caused everyone to be furious and depressed. Longao's talent and potential were already terrifying. Now that he had obtained the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor God Godhead, it was hard to imagine that once Longao devoured the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor God Godhead and became the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor, who could be his opponent? Let alone the others, even the two territory ancestors of the Starry Sky couldn't resist Longao. In the distance, Yi Dugu, who had been watching the battle, had his expression change again and again. This was because he was very surprised by Longao's various secret techniques and abilities. It would be a lie to say that he was not greedy. Longao appeared, but no one came to attack. This was because Longao could disappear at will. This made many people wary. Since they knew that attacking would be useless, why would they waste time? Master. Both Shi Chong and Shi Patian admired their master very much. He actually snatched the starry sky godhead in front of everyone's eyes. Cow. Shi Patian, are you willing to devour the chief god's divine spark? Ah. Shi Patian didn't know how to react. Shi Chong tapped Shi Patian's shoulder, because he already knew what the master meant. As if he had thought of something, Shi Patian's face instantly lit up with joy, and his body began to tremble slightly. Shi Yan understood clearly what the starry sky territory ancestor's godhead meant. Once he swallowed the star territory ancestor godhead, if nothing unexpected happened, he would become the territory ancestor of the starry sky, the supreme existence in this vast universe. Was the master really willing to do that? Until now, Shi Patian still couldn't believe it. Others would fight to the death for the starry sky territory ancestor's godhead. The master risked his life to snatch the starry sky territory ancestor godhead. Even if Shi Patian didn't want to devour it, he could leave it for his family. Since that was the case, why did he still want Shi Patian? Patian? Shi Patian was dumbfounded. Pushed by his father, Shi Patian came back to his senses. He said happily, "Master, of course I'm willing. But I can't believe it. You really want me to devour the starry sky territory ancestor godhead?" Nonsense. He took out the starry sky godhead and handed it to Shi Patian. Looking at the starry sky godhead in his hand, Shi Patian was touched. Shi Patian released his bloodline. Before Longao could react, Shi Patian had completed the bloodline contract. In other words, as long as the Longao wanted, he could kill Shi Patian with just a thought. It was the most unfair and tyrannical contract. Even if Shi Patian devoured the starry sky territory ancestor realm, he would still be restricted by the bloodline contract. Shi Patian, why do you need to do that? If I didn't trust you, I wouldn't have given you the starry sky territory ancestor godhead. Shi Patian smiled, his face nonchalant. Master, thank you for your trust. But I'll be at ease if I do that. Shi Patian didn't want to linger on this issue. Everything they had done was done in secret. No one around could see it. If others saw Shi Patian devouring the starry sky territory ancestor godhead, Shi Patian wouldn't have a chance to become a territory ancestor realm expert. He would be hunted down. Shi Patian didn't hesitate. He would never have such an opportunity in his life. Without hesitation, Shi Patian directly devoured the starry sky territory ancestor godhead. This time, Longao decided to give the starry sky territory ancestor godhead to Shi Patian first. The reason was simple. The slaughtering abyss was sealed. If he let his family swallow the territory ancestor realm warriors 1 year later, it would be a waste of time. It was better to let Shi Patian swallow the territory ancestor realm first. With Shi Patian's innate talent, he would break through to the territory ancestor realm soon. Once Shi Patian broke through to the starry sky territory ancestor realm, Shi Patian would guard the Dragon Valley. At that time, the Dragon Valley would be safe, and Shi Patian wouldn't have to worry about anything. Shi Patian, you too leave the territory ancestor peak now. Remember, go to a quiet place not far from the massacre abyss to cultivate. After 1 year, when the seal is broken, you too will guard the Dragon Valley. Remember, if anyone dares to trespass the Dragon Valley, kill them without mercy. Yes, master. You must be careful. Shi Chong and Shi Patian were grateful to Longao because they knew that Longao was doing this for their own good. Since Shi Patian had devoured the starry sky territory ancestor godhead, they couldn't let anyone know about it. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. After the two of them left, Longao continued to think about how to deal with Feng Buxiu and the other 2 starry sky territory ancestors. As for snatching the starry sky territory ancestor godheads, even if he had a chance, he wouldn't hesitate to take action. Anyway, if he could snatch the other 9 starry sky territory ancestor godheads, He could create another 9 starry sky territory ancestor godheads, right? Longao smiled as he thought about this. Brother Long, you surprised me. I wanted to help you get a starry sky territory ancestor godhead. But now, it seems like you don't need my help. I have something urgent to do, so I'll take my leave first. Goodbye. Could it be that Yi Dugu came this time to help him? It seemed a little unlikely, but if Yi Dugu didn't say it himself, there was no way to guess. Longao looked at the gradually disappearing figure and was very afraid. He knew that at this moment, he didn't know what Yi Dugu meant to him. After all, Yi Dugu's strength and identity were there. Longao, let's talk. How about that? P.S. Copy the 5th chapter. Chapter 1968. Yi Bu. Looking at the starry sky domain emperor, Longao was curious. He didn't know why this man wanted to see him. No problem. Longao really wanted to know why Yi Bu wanted to see him all of a sudden. There were no eternal enemies in this world, and no eternal friends. Friends could become enemies, and enemies could become friends. The two of them found a quiet place where there was no fighting. Yi Bu took out a stone table and 2 chairs from nowhere. The two of them sat down directly. Yi Bu, if you have something to say, just say it. Okay, I like your straightforwardness. Yi Bu smiled, looking at the people who were fighting for the keys in the distance. He smiled begrudgingly. I don't know if it's right or wrong to enter the heaven martial plane this time. The mysterious domain is controlled by the divine mathematician. It's not as simple as we thought. Longao didn't say anything because he didn't know what Yi Bu wanted to say. After a while, if I'm not wrong, none of the hundreds of thousands of people who entered the heaven martial plane could leave alive. Ah? What did he mean? Longao was bewildered. No matter what, they were hundreds of thousands of starry sky cultivators, not cabbages on the street. Yi Bu, it's just your guess. It might not be true. Longao was upset. Even if Yi Bu's guess was right, what could he do? What did it have to do with him? Even if all the starry sky cultivators died, it wouldn't affect him at all. In fact, he would gain a lot of benefits, especially the 2 starry sky territory ancestors and Fengbuxiu. He couldn't wait for them to die. Longao, I want to cooperate with you. I only have one request. Help me leave the heaven martial plane. I don't dare to ask for anything else. Yi Bu, are you kidding me? Yi Bu's face was full of helplessness and frustration. Longao, you don't need to do that. I've observed you for a long time. You're a variable that even the divine mathematician can't control. Perhaps you don't believe in reincarnation, but I can tell you that I believe you can help me. Condition: being able to form an alliance with a starry sky domain emperor was not necessarily a bad thing. However, Longao wasn't a fool. He and Yi Bu weren't friends yet, so he wouldn't make a losing deal. The conditions were very important. I will do my best to help you. Deal. Longao stood up and looked at Fengbuxiu, who was looking at him from afar. He said, if you are sincere enough, then join hands with me to kill Fengbuxiu. He was probing because Longao did not know if Yi Bu was sincere or not. A starry sky domain emperor was too dangerous. He didn't dare to take the risk. Even though they had formed an alliance, he still had to be vigilant. He was not surprised at all. Yi Bu seemed to have guessed that Longao would be like this. He nodded and said, it is my duty. In the distance, the moment Yi Bu and Longao walked together, Fengbuxiu was already staring at them. Although he didn't know what they were talking about, he had a bad feeling about it. One Longao was already hard enough to deal with. If Yi Bu joined them, how could he deal with them? Seeing the two of them walking towards him, Fengbuxiu was frightened. He turned around and left angrily. He knew clearly that Longao and Yi Bu had reached an agreement. Thus, they were going to deal with him now. Fengbuxiu's speed was fast, but Longao didn't mind him at all. As his cultivation base had reached level 8, his space teleportation power had increased greatly. They chased after each other. The three of them were strange. This time, they didn't enter the Territory Ancestor Peak to find the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's godhead or the key to the Star Secret Domain. Instead, they chased after Fengbuxiu. Yibu, you're a traitor. One day I will kill you. Fengbuxiu snorted. Yibu didn't care about Fengbuxiu's threat. As he had chosen to form an alliance with Longao, he wouldn't hesitate anymore. They didn't talk. Anyway, the two of them attacked Fengbuxiu from the front and back. Fengbuxiu was helpless against the two of them because he knew clearly that he wasn't strong enough to fight against the two of them. If it was one-on-one, he wasn't afraid at all. Yibu, Longao, that's enough? Qi Tian's figure suddenly appeared, looking at the two of them coldly. Qi Tian, this has nothing to do with you. Get lost. Hearing Longao's words, not only Yibu was dumbfounded, but Fengbuxiu was also dumbfounded. Who was Qi Tian? Qi Tian was the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor, a peerless existence in the vast starry sky. Longao dared to talk about such a supreme existence. However, after thinking about it, it was understandable. After all, Longao's situation was different. How could a normal person face hundreds of thousands of starry sky cultivators? After all, Longao was a madman. Qi Tian didn't get angry. Instead, he smiled and said, Longao, if you're capable, fight me fairly. If you don't have the confidence and capability, get lost and shut up. Don't think that you're great just because you got the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's godhead. Fair? With a mocking face, Longao stared at Fengbuxiu, who was standing beside Qi Tian. He sneered and said, Fengbuxiu, I will definitely take revenge for Uncle Murong. I hope you'll continue to hide behind Qi Tian. Otherwise, Longao didn't finish his words, but the meaning in his words was clear. Fengbuxiu's face turned gloomier and uglier. Longao, I'll be waiting. Just as Longao was about to turn and leave, Qi Tian suddenly said, Yibu, if you insist on following Longao, don't blame me for being merciless. With your strength, do you think you can escape? Qi Tian's meaning was simple. Longao had a spatial divine tool and could disappear at will. Even Qi Tian couldn't do anything about it. However, Yibu's situation was different. Yibu didn't have a spatial divine tool and couldn't disappear at will. In that case, if Qi Tian wanted to attack, he could kill Yibu at any time. Just as expected. Yibu was worried. He was afraid of this. After all, Longao's enemies were two Starry Sky Territory Ancestors. With his strength, he couldn't resist the pursuit of two Starry Sky Territory Lords. However, he had a feeling that Longao was definitely a variable that could help him. Yibu chose to believe in himself. He chose to believe in Longao. Even if Qi Tian killed him, he wouldn't regret it. Since he had made up his mind, he would stick to it until the end. Qi Tian, one day I will surpass you. At that time, I will trample you under my feet. With just you? I'm sorry. You don't mean that. How could Qi Tian give his opponent a chance? Even if he couldn't kill Longao, it would be easy to kill Yibu. Thus, Qi Tian took action. Author's note: the 6th chapter is here. Chapter 1969. Before Qi Tian could make a move, Longao had already disappeared with Yibu rage. Endless rage. Qi Tian had never imagined that not only could Longao disappear on his own, but he could also disappear with Yibu. No wonder Longao was so fearless. Thank you for saving me, Lord. Thinking about it now, he felt a lingering fear. If it weren't for Qi Tian's timely help, he believed that he would have been in a precarious situation. He wouldn't have been able to withstand their joint attack. In the distance, Yibu, be careful. Nodding his head, Yibu understood what Longao meant. After all, He had already provoked Chi Tian. If Longao wasn't by his side, he would be in great danger. Next, I will do my best to help you obtain the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead. With your strength and situation, I believe that once you devour the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead, it won't take long for you to break through to the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead. This surprise came too suddenly. If it were anyone else, Yibu wouldn't have believed them. Only Longao was different. Previously, Longao had snatched the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead despite being besieged. If Longao was willing to help him, it couldn't be better. Was Longao really willing to help him obtain the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead? Even if they had formed an alliance, Yibu still found it hard to believe. Humans were selfish, especially him and Longao. They couldn't be considered friends. Not to mention Longao, even he wouldn't give up the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead for nothing. After all, if he could devour the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead, it meant that he would definitely become a Starry Sky Territory Ancestor in the future. As if he could guess Yibu's thoughts, Longao smiled and said, "The Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead might be the most important thing to you, but it's worthless to me." Yibu didn't say anything. "I care about my family and sect the most. Yibu, you and I aren't friends, but I hope that we can become friends in the future. If you can devour the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead, I only have one request." "Please say it." Just like what Longao had said, the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead was the most important thing to Yibu. No matter what the request was, Yibu would agree. In front of the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's Godhead, everything had to yield. "We'll talk about it later. The Cosmic Domain Overgod Spark has appeared." As expected, Longao wasn't the only one who had sensed it. Everyone had sensed another Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead on the Territory Ancestor Peak. It was the second Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead out of the 10. Everyone attacked again. Hong Lin and Chi Tian still couldn't change their bad habit. Previously, because they had fought each other, Longao had taken advantage of them. But now, the two of them fought again. This time, the others had learned their lesson. Since the two of them had already started fighting, it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If he could devour the Cosmic Domain Ancestor Godhead, he would turn around and flee. In the vast sea of people, trying to find a trace of a person was almost like trying to find a needle in the ocean. Right at this moment, a 10,000 zhang long reincarnation sword chi slashed at him. Although he wanted the Universal Star Territory Ancestor's Godhead, he was still afraid of death in the face of death. One by one, they dodged and fled. His chance had arrived. Longao was among the crowd. Seeing that his reincarnation sword chi had avoided everyone, he teleported away. In the next second, Longao appeared beside the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's Godhead. Longao, ignoring everyone, Longao grabbed the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's Godhead and disappeared on the spot. No one could stop Longao. The two Starry Sky Territory Ancestors, who were in the middle of a fierce battle, discovered that Longao had snatched away another Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's Godhead. Longao had snatched the Starry Sky Territory Ancestors' Godheads again and again. If they could tolerate it, what else could they tolerate? There were only 10 Starry Sky Territory Ancestors' Godheads, and Longao had already snatched 2 of them. At this rate, who knew if the remaining 8 Godheads would be snatched away by Longao? "Longao, get out here!" Longao had already left the Territory Ancestor Peak with Yibu. Although he wasn't afraid, he had snatched the Starry Sky Territory Ancestors' Godheads twice in a row. He would definitely infuriate them. If he chose to stay, there would only be disadvantages and no benefit. Longao didn't show up. Everyone was furious, but they didn't have a place to vent their anger. The 2 Starry Sky Territory Ancestors were enraged. They directly attacked the surrounding cultivators. In just a blink of an eye, more than 30 cultivators had fallen. In the current situation, cultivators in the starry sky were like cabbages. They weren't worth much. Everyone was stunned. They retreated and looked at the 2 starry sky territory ancestors in fright. No one had thought that the 2 starry sky territory ancestors would kill so many people out of anger. Were they crazy? Longao, I'm going to kill you. The 2 of them were fighting to the death, but Longao had snatched the godheads first. Not to mention the 2 of them, everyone else was enraged. Outside the territory ancestor peak. Until now, Yibu was still panic-stricken. He had seen arrogant people who didn't care about their lives, but he had never seen such a reckless person. Longao didn't put anyone in his eyes, especially the 2 starry sky territory ancestors. Anyway, the first time was a gamble. The second time was a suicide mission. Longao, I admire your courage. Yibu was thrilled. According to Longao, once he got the starry sky territory ancestor's godhead, he would let Yibu swallow it. Thus, once Yibu swallowed the starry sky territory ancestor's godhead, he could become a starry sky territory ancestor. However, he didn't know how long it would take to refine the godhead. How could Longao not know what Yibu was thinking? However, he had risked his life to get the starry sky territory ancestor's godhead. If he gave it to Yibu, he was worried that Yibu would attack him after he became a starry sky territory ancestor. What should he do then? Why would he have another starry sky territory ancestor as his enemy? People were the easiest to change. Longao simply did not know what kind of person Yibu was. Thus, Longao directly said, Yibu, I believe you should be very clear about our situation. I will also go straight to the point. I do not believe you. I know. Yibu knew very well that if Longao really chose to believe him, then it would be really strange. Longao, what do you want? It's simple. A bloodline contract. Although Longao knew that he wasn't being honest, he couldn't do it for nothing. Even if Yibu didn't attack him in the future, he couldn't complete this task. After all, it was a starry sky territory ancestor's godhead. Bloodline contract? He wasn't surprised. Losing his freedom or choosing the bloodline contract. Which one should he choose? Author's note. Chapter 7 delivered. Chapter 1970. How should he choose? If it were something else, Yibu wouldn't have chosen the bloodline contract. After all, once he chose the bloodline contract, it meant that he would have to submit to Longao forever. At that time, Longao only needed one thought to kill him. Should he give up? It was the starry sky territory ancestor godhead. Yibu knew clearly that even if he didn't want it, there were many others who would. Swallowing the starry sky territory ancestor godhead meant that he could become a starry sky territory ancestor in the future, a peerless expert in the vast universe, who would be able to resist such a temptation. Gritting his teeth, Yibu didn't talk much and directly started the bloodline contract. As for Longao, at this moment, Longao didn't feel soft-hearted or anything strange because he had risked his life to get the starry sky territory ancestor godhead. He couldn't just give it to an outsider. Thus, he would rather give it to Shurchong. After the bloodline contract was completed, if Longao chose not to give Yibu the starry sky territory ancestor godhead, Yibu wouldn't be angry. However, Yibu chose to believe in Longao. Even Yibu himself didn't know why he had chosen to believe in Shurchong. Longao was a man of his words. He gave Yibu the starry sky territory ancestor godhead and said, Yibu, I believe that the starry sky territory ancestor godhead isn't the strongest existence in the vast universe. Now that you've become a starry sky territory ancestor, follow me and I will help you go further. You know? Hearing Longao's words, Yibu was astounded. If the other cultivators in the vast universe knew about this, it would be fine. However, Longao had never left the vast universe, so he was a little surprised to know about this. Yibu swallowed the starry sky territory ancestor godhead, and found a quiet place to sit with Longao. Longao, you're right. There are stronger existences above the starry sky territory ancestor realm. However, we can't look up to them. Just as expected. Since he had become a starry sky cultivator, Longao always had a guess that there were stronger existences beyond the territory ancestor realm. As for why the stronger cultivators didn't enter the sky martial plane, the reason was simple. They didn't care about the starry sky secret territory. Yibu, tell me. Longao really wanted to know. Yibu thought for a moment and said, since you'll be entering the vast starry sky in the future, you'll know about this sooner or later. I'll tell you now. There are so many experts in this vast universe. Above the starry sky territory ancestor is the territory lord who can control the power of the star boundary. Sector lord? Starry sky sector master? Longao finally knew what the existence above the territory ancestor realm was. Was the divine mathematician the territory ancestor of the starry sky or the territory master of the starry sky? Intuition told Longao that divine mathematician wasn't ordinary. He could be the so-called territory master of star sky, not the territory ancestor of star sky. In the legends, the territory master of star sky has great power. He can draw his territory in this vast universe and create his star boundary. This sky martial plane belongs to the territory of a territory master. This kind of existence was invincible in this vast universe. Being able to draw his territory in this vast universe made his blood boil. He didn't ask further. Longao understood clearly that with his current competence, not to mention the territory master of star sky, even the territory ancestor realm wasn't an existence he could touch. Yibu, you should focus on refining the starry sky territory master god divine spark. Before you break through to the territory ancestor realm, don't enter the territory ancestor peak. With Yibu's current competence, entering the territory ancestor peak was a dead end. He couldn't always protect Yibu. Anyway, he had his own business. Yibu understood Longao's meaning. He nodded and said, I won't enter the territory ancestor peak easily. Yibu wasn't afraid of Feng Wuchang. He was afraid of the two territory ancestors. Since he had offended the territory ancestors, once he entered the territory ancestor peak, he knew what would happen. Yibu, how long do you think it will take you to completely refine the starry sky territory ancestor godhead? It was the most important thing. Yibu thought for a while and then said, even if I try my best, I'm afraid I won't be able to refine the starry sky territory ancestor godhead in less than 1 year. 1 year under normal circumstances, 1 year was just a blink of an eye for the Martial Artists Alliance. However, the situation was different now. 1 year was too long for Longao. Although he had broken through to level 8, Longao knew himself well. With his current competence, not to mention the territory ancestor, he couldn't even deal with the territory emperor of Star Sky. It was all thanks to Yibu. Although Shurpatian had swallowed the starry sky territory ancestor godhead, Shurpotian's situation was different from Yibu's. Shurpatian was just a level 2 starry sky cultivator. If he wanted to refine the starry sky territory ancestor godhead and break through to the territory ancestor realm, it would take him more time than Yibu. If Yibu needed 1 year, Shurpatian would need at least 3 years or even longer to completely refine the starry sky territory ancestor godhead. 1 year is too long. Yibu, is there any way to shorten the time? In Longao's knowledge, it would be best if he could refine the starry sky territory ancestor godhead in 1 month. With Yibu's help, he didn't need to be afraid of the two territory ancestors. It was also the real reason why Longao couldn't wait to let Yibu swallow the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead. If there weren't any strong enemies or the Territory Ancestor Peak, Longao wouldn't use the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead. He would leave it for his family. If his grandfather, parents, and 3 wives could swallow the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead and break through to the Territory Ancestor realm, they would be safe. Even if the Starry Sky Territory Master was in the vast universe, as long as they didn't go there, they would be fine. However, since it had come to this, even if Longao didn't want to, he had to do it. He had to deal with the enemies first. Anyway, whether it was Patian or Yibu, they were his subordinate. As long as they could break through to the Territory Ancestor realm, it would be beneficial to him. I don't have a good solution. Master, I have one. Hearing Long Fu's voice, Longao was cheered up. Then, Long Fu told him how to upgrade his Territory Ancestor Godhead. Long Fu's face was solemn because the solution Long Fu told him was a risky one. It wasn't something he could decide alone. He needed Yibu's opinion. Yibu, I have a solution that can help you refine the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead in 3 days. However, it's very dangerous. Do you want to do it? If you don't want to, I won't force you. However, I can tell you that it's very dangerous. P.S. Little Nine is so anxious. Today, it rained for a whole day. Sometimes it thundered. Little Nine had to turn on the computer several times. The screen almost flashed. Today, I can only write 2 chapters. Chapter 1971. Longao, I'm willing to do it. Yibu didn't even ask what the method was, but he agreed without hesitation. Because Yibu was very clear about Longao's thoughts, and also knew about the current situation. This method is very dangerous. Longao explained the method Long Fu had told him. I will do my best to help you. According to your situation, there's a 50% chance of success. It's enough. Whether it was for Longao or for himself, it was a good thing if he could refine the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead and break through to the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor realm in 3 days. Everyone was mutually dependent. Longao also wanted to give it a try because he couldn't wait any longer. Usually, 1 year wasn't a problem, but it was a little too long at the moment. Longao didn't conceal anything as he brought Yibu into the Dragon Seal space. Longao couldn't do anything, so it was up to Long Fu. Inside the Territory Ancestor Peak, 2 Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godheads were snatched by Longao. Everyone was enraged, especially the 2 Starry Sky Territory Ancestors. Longao had snatched the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godheads right under their noses. It was a great humiliation. The first time was an accident, but what about the second time? However, the 2 of them were depressed to the extreme. Not to mention Longao's talent, Longao had the 7 orifices exquisite pagoda. The 2 of them couldn't kill Longao. Besides being angry, they were worried because they didn't know if Longao would appear again. After all, there were only 8 Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godheads left. If Longao continued like this, did it mean that all 10 Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godheads would be taken by Longao? If that was the case, the 2 of them even had the thought of killing themselves. They were Starry Sky Territory Ancestors, but they were humiliated by a small level 8 Starry Sky cultivator. It was a humiliation, a great humiliation. Longao had to die. The 2 of them had already shed all pretenses of cordiality, but because of Longao, the 2 of them had turned from enemies to friends, preparing to join forces to deal with Longao. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. After 2 Universe Domain Ancestor Godheads had appeared, a 3rd Universe Domain Ancestor Godhead never appeared. As for the keys, more than 20 of them had appeared, but hundreds of Starry Sky cultivators had already fallen in order to obtain more than 20 keys. If this situation continued, once all 1,000 keys appeared, coupled with the universal star domain ancestor godhead, who knew how many more people would die? Bloody winds and bloody rain. Longao. Seeing Longao and Yibu swaggering in from the entrance, everyone's faces were filled with anger. Huang Xiaolong had assumed that Longao would flee after obtaining the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead. He had assumed that Longao would never show himself again after devouring the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead. At the very least, Longao wouldn't show himself before refining the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead. Get out of my way. Anyone who dares to come near me will be killed without mercy. If it had been in the past, no one would have cared about Longao. A measly grade 8 Starry Sky cultivator dared to behave atrociously in this place. He was simply courting death. But now, the situation was different. They couldn't judge Longao with common sense. Although he was just a grade 8 Starry Sky cultivator, he had many trump cards. Not to mention cultivators of the same grade, even Starry Sky Territory Emperor or Starry Sky Territory Emperor didn't dare to be careless. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it. Longao brought Yibu to the two universe domain ancestors, smiling without saying a word. Yibu, you've devoured the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead? Both Hong Lin and Qi Tian's expressions changed when they sensed Yibu's aura. That's right. Both of them looked at each other because they couldn't believe that Longao would give the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead to Yibu. Was Longao really so generous? When the surrounding people heard that Yibu had devoured the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead, they thought that Longao was too generous. Starry Sky Territory Ancestor? Hong Lin and Qi Tian looked at each other and saw a trace of astonishment in each other's eyes. According to Yibu's situation, even if he could devour the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead, he would need at least a year to refine it. He might not even succeed, let alone becoming a Starry Sky Territory Ancestor. But now? Yibu's aura had clearly reached the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor realm. The two of them couldn't figure out how Yibu had done it. Are you surprised? Nonsense. Of course, they were surprised and even shocked, because this matter was simply unimaginable. Even though they had seen it with their own eyes, they were still unwilling to believe it. With Yibu's situation, how did he manage to refine the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead and break through to the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor realm in just 3 days? Longao, how did you do it? The two of them weren't fools. Of course, they knew that it wasn't Yibu's doing. They knew Yibu's situation too well. The only explanation was that Yibu had Longao's help. That was why he could refine the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead and break through to the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor realm in just 3 days. Longao had too many secrets, not to mention the others. Just the fact that he could refine the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead faster was enough to drive people crazy. Why should I tell you? It's really funny. Ignoring the two of them, Longao coldly looked around and said, "From now on, no matter who it is, I won't show mercy to anyone who dares to provoke me. I'll kill them without mercy." No one doubted Longao's words, and no one doubted his competence. Especially now, Longao had a Starry Sky Territory Ancestor realm expert by his side. He was like a tiger that had grown wings. No wonder why Longao was so arrogant all of a sudden. After all, he had the right to be arrogant. To make an example of the others, before Longao could finish, Yibu, who had been silent all this time, suddenly dashed into the crowd. Right after that, screams arose one after another. In just a few seconds, dozens of Starry Sky cultivators had fallen, including a level 9 Starry Sky cultivator. Everyone retreated in fright, including the remaining 5 Starry Sky Territory Emperors. Yibu wasn't the same as before. Not to mention the others, Even the two Starry Sky Territory ancestors didn't dare to provoke Yibu unless they joined hands. However, Longao was by Yibu's side, which was a big problem. Everyone's face was extremely ugly. When they had just stepped into the Heaven Martial Plane, Longao was just a level 3 Starry Sky cultivator. In just a few months, he had become a level 8 Starry Sky cultivator. Moreover, he had snatched 2 Starry Sky Territory Gods' Godheads and created a Starry Sky Territory ancestor. In other words, Longao could create another Starry Sky Territory ancestor at any time. At that time, even if Hong Lin and Qi Tian joined hands, they wouldn't be able to suppress Longao. P.S. Today was an accident. After all, there was thunder and rain. Little Nine couldn't do anything. Chapter 1972. Looking at Longao and Yibu's departing figures, everyone hurried to make way for them. Yibu's sudden attack just now had frightened everyone in the surroundings. One was a monstrous genius, and the other was a Starry Sky Territory ancestor. Once the two of them joined hands, it would be a troublesome matter. No one wasn't afraid of death. Hong Lin and Qi Tian's faces were extremely gloomy and unsightly. Hong Lin, what should we do now? The two of them were filled with regret. They regretted it to the extreme. If they hadn't fought, giving Longao a chance to seize the opportunity, the two Starry Sky Territory ancestor godheads wouldn't have fallen into Longao's hands. Moreover, they would have created a Starry Sky Territory ancestor. Not only that, but Longao also had a Starry Sky Territory ancestor godhead, which could create another Starry Sky Territory ancestor. Should they make a move? Or not? Hong Lin sighed deeply and said helplessly, Longao swaggered here, so he must be fearless. If we act rashly and something happens, Hong Lin didn't finish his sentence, but the meaning in his words was clear. In the end, Hong Lin was afraid. He was afraid that Longao had a killer move. If there was an accident, he would die without a doubt. Looking at the two of them swaggering away, Hong Lin and Qi Tian didn't make a move in the end. In the following period of time, Longao and Yibu snatched the keys from other people. No matter what, they had to get the 4 keys first. Being snatched by force, they didn't dare to say anything. After all, the other party's strength was right there. Yibu, if it's one-on-one, are you their match? Of course, Longao knew that Yibu wouldn't be able to defeat both of them at once. Longao only hoped that Yibu could defeat one of them one-on-one. It was enough. Yibu shook his head and said helplessly, Longao, although my cultivation base has broken through to the Starry Sky Territory ancestor realm in just 3 days with your help, my realm hasn't stabilized yet. Longao had already guessed something. If I had another year, I would be confident that I would be able to contend against either Hong Lin or Qi Tian. However, if we were to fight now, I would be defeated within 100 moves. Paper Tiger. Even so, Yibu had scared everyone away. If it weren't for Yibu, Hong Lin and Qi Tian would have definitely joined forces to deal with Longao. This was without a doubt. Then let's try our best not to provoke them. Longao also felt that this matter was a little funny. However, since things had already come to this, he and Yibu could only act calm. Otherwise, if they were exposed, it would be very troublesome in the future. At the very least, it would be very troublesome for the next year. At first glance, the Territory Ancestor Peak seemed to reach into the sky. Wasn't the Territory Ancestor Peak dangerous? Many people asked curiously. After all, the Universal Domain Ancestor's Godhead and the key to open the Starry Sky's secret territory wouldn't be the only things here. In fact, everyone had overlooked a problem. Even if the Territory Ancestor Peak wasn't dangerous, to snatch the Universal Domain Ancestor's Godhead and the key to open the Starry Sky's secret territory, people would have to fight each other to the death. This was even more dangerous than the Territory Ancestor Peak. People couldn't see this problem. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. As they found that the Territory Ancestor Peak didn't have any problem, they became unscrupulous. They weren't as cautious as when they had just entered the Territory Ancestor Peak. The third Universal Domain Ancestor's Godhead hadn't appeared yet. As for the keys, there were more than 10 keys. This time, Longao and Yibu didn't take action. They had gotten their keys. If they continued to take action, they would force the others to take desperate measures. Yibu, be careful. I feel something wrong. He nodded. Yibu trusted Longao's senses. This young man had too many secrets. It was hard to imagine that when Longao's cultivation base broke through to the Universal Domain Ancestor realm, no one could be his match anymore. Not to mention the Universal Domain Ancestor realm. If Longao's cultivation base broke through to the Universal Domain Ancestor realm, even the Universal Domain Ancestor realm wouldn't be Longao's match. Right at this moment, it was unknown who shouted, but everyone turned to look above their heads. If they didn't look, they wouldn't know. All of a sudden, many small black dots appeared in the sky above the Territory Ancestor Peak. They were moving fast from afar. Meteorites in the starry sky. Meteorites in the starry sky. Everybody, run. Meteorite was a very special thing in the vast starry sky. However, the meteorites that were falling from the sky today were deadly. Because each meteorite was incomparably huge. Perhaps no one would be able to withstand it once it smashed into the ground. Let alone the ordinary warriors in the starry sky. Even the 2 Universal Domain Ancestors and 5 Universal Domain Emperors didn't dare to confront them directly. People couldn't figure out why so many meteorites would fall from the sky all of a sudden. It was a deadly situation. The meteorites were so dense. If they weren't careful, they would be hit. Not only would their bodies fall, but their primordial spirit would also vanish. It was the power of the meteorites. Everyone had already guessed that the divine mathematician was the one who had caused the meteorites to fall from the sky. Otherwise, it would be impossible for such a terrifying meteorite to fall from the sky for no reason at all. Everybody started to dodge crazily. Some chose to leave and wait until the meteorites stopped attacking. No one wasn't afraid of death in front of life and death. Yibu, let's go. Longao didn't try to enter the dragon mark. If he did, the meteorites would seize the chance and attack him. The 2 of them used their auras to cover their bodies and dodge left and right. However, the density of the meteorite attacks was too dense. If this situation continued, perhaps no one would be able to withstand it. Without any other choice, everyone began to crazily rush towards the exit. Those who ran fast would safely leave, but those who ran slow would either be stopped or directly smashed to death by the meteorite attacks. After 2 hours, all the people who could come out had already come out. At a glance, there was a dense crowd of people everywhere. There were at least 50,000 starry sky cultivators. In other words, in just an hour, more than 20,000 starry sky cultivators had fallen. What kind of concept was this? It was terrifying. Although 20,000 warriors in the starry sky weren't a big deal in the vast starry sky, it was terrifying if they kept dying at this speed. Since 20,000 warriors had died at one time, if it happened 2 more times, the remaining 50,000 warriors would have to give up their lives here. No one knew how long the meteorite attack on the Territory Ancestor Peak would last. If it continued like this, it wasn't a solution. P.S. Copy the first chapter. Chapter 1973. The meteorites are too dense. If we go there now, we will die for sure. Longao nodded in agreement. But what was the result? Yibu, I want to go there. Hearing that Longao wanted to go to the Territory Ancestor Peak, Yibu changed his face. No matter what, the Territory Ancestor Peak was too dangerous. If he went there now, he knew what would happen to him. Yibu couldn't figure out why Longao wanted to go to the Territory Ancestor Peak. Moreover, it was at this moment. Without waiting for Yibuan, Longao took a big stride forward and his figure had already dashed out. In the blink of an eye, he had already disappeared at the entrance. F***CK. Seeing Longao enter the Territory Ancestor Peak, everybody gawked. Did Longao want to commit suicide? Everybody knew the current situation of the Territory Ancestor Peak. Let alone Longao, even the 3 Territory Ancestors of the Starry Sky didn't dare to enter the Territory Ancestor Peak. Longao is strange. Hong Lin nodded. He also knew that Longao was strange. Longao wasn't an idiot. He wouldn't enter the Territory Ancestor Peak at this moment. Why? They seemed to have thought of something. Their faces changed. They didn't mind the others and directly headed to the Territory Ancestor Peak, disappearing into the entrance. As soon as they disappeared, Yibu followed them. Longao and the 3 Territory Ancestors of the Starry Sky had gotten in. They were bewildered. Shortly after, they guessed something. There was only one reason why Longao and the 3 Territory Ancestors chose to enter the peak at this moment. When the meteorites attacked, the Territory Ancestor God's Godhead would appear. Danger and opportunity coexisted. They knew that, but who would dare to enter the peak? Not to mention the others, even the 5 Territory Ancestors didn't dare to enter the peak. Although the Territory Ancestor God's Godhead was important, it wasn't enough to save their lives. Everyone sighed deeply. No one envied them anymore. Although Longao had taken the Territory Ancestor God's Godhead twice, Longao had taken risks each time. When the 2 Territory Ancestors were fighting, no one dared to snatch the Godhead. No one except for Longao. It wasn't that Longao wasn't afraid of death. However, Longao got the Territory Ancestor God's Godhead and they didn't. Many people began to admire Longao's Godhead. A Starry Sky cultivator who had risen from an intermediate plane was looked down upon by everyone at first, but in just a few months, he had grown to this point. Was it just because of his talent and various killing moves? Other than talent, Longao was even more crazy and fearless of danger. Everybody had guessed that although the Territory Ancestor Peak had so many meteorites, which made it very dangerous, the 4 of them didn't hesitate to get in. More than 50,000 cultivators in the Starry Sky didn't choose to enter the peak because they were afraid of death. In comparison, Longao's achievement was reasonable. Inside the Territory Ancestor Peak, countless Starry Sky meteors fell unceasingly. Not to mention entering the peak, just looking at them was terrifying. As soon as the 3 Territory Ancestors entered the peak, they saw the sky full of meteors. They were full of confidence, but they halted their steps. They didn't see such a scene outside, so they had the impulse to enter. But now they didn't dare to take a step inside. This kind of attack was too dangerous. Where was Longao? Seeing that Longao had already disappeared, the 3 people's faces all changed. The sky was full of meteors, and they couldn't see Longao. They didn't know if he was dead or alive. Sighing deeply, Hong Lin said with admiration, "Not only is this man talented, but he's also fearless. Not many people in this vast universe can have that kind of courage." Chi Tian nodded in agreement. This man isn't simple. He must be killed. Longao's talent and potential had already deeply shocked the 2 of them. If you cut the grass without removing the roots, it will grow again when the spring breeze blows. Thinking of this, the 2 of them had already decided that no matter what happened, Longao had to die. He snorted coldly. Yibu said coldly, "Just the 2 of you? Yibu, don't think that you can resist us just because you've reached the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor realm. As long as we join hands, do you think you can resist us?" Hong Lin and Chi Tian were confident that even if Yi Bu had refined the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's godhead and reached the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor realm, he wasn't their equal opponent. However, they didn't take action under such circumstances. If they weren't sure that they could succeed in one strike, they wouldn't act rashly. The reason was simple. If they couldn't succeed in one strike, they would provoke Yi Bu. With Yi Bu's competence, if he messed with them, they would be in big trouble. Hong Lin, what should we do now? Enter? Or leave? Or stay where they were? Longao had entered. If another Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's godhead appeared, he could snatch it again. In that case, Longao would have obtained 3 Starry Sky Territory Ancestors' godheads. It would be a lie to say that they weren't jealous. Hong Lin shook his head helplessly. After thinking for a while, he decided to stay where he was. Wait until Longao appears. We'll use all of our strength. No matter what happens, we must keep him here. We can't let him leave alive. They chose to ignore Yi Bu. Even if Yi Bu had broken through to the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor realm, he wouldn't be able to stop them. If Yi Bu's cultivation base had stabilized in 3 to 5 years, he might be able to affect them. However, it wasn't now. Looking at their faces, Yi Bu knew what they were thinking. He sneered inwardly. When Longao came out, even if he wasn't as strong as them, he wouldn't retreat. At this moment, Yi Bu considered Longao his friend because no one had ever treated him like that. Although they had signed the bloodline contract, he understood the value of a Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's godhead. Ordinary people wouldn't take it out casually. Thus, the 3 Starry Sky Territory Ancestors stood several meters away from each other, waiting for Longao to come out. In fact, the 3 of them knew that Longao would be smashed to death by the meteorite inside the Territory Ancestor Peak. This was what the 2 Territory Ancestors wanted to see the most. However, they would have to use their secret techniques in vain. Yi Bu hoped that Longao would come out alive. P.S. Copy the 2nd chapter. Chapter 1974. Inside the Territory Ancestor Peak. As soon as Longao entered the peak, he was hit by so many meteorites. The biggest reason why he had entered the Territory Ancestor Peak was because he had guessed that there would be opportunities and dangers. Since the meteorites were so powerful, what if the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's godhead appeared? Just as expected. At first glance, Longao saw the sparkling Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's godhead in the cracks of the meteorites. He was thrilled. It seemed like his guess was right. Longao didn't hesitate, dashing forward like an arrow. Longao was just a level 8 Starry Sky cultivator, so he couldn't resist the meteorites. However, Longao was confident. Otherwise, he wouldn't have dared to enter the Territory Ancestor Peak. The dragon's seal protected him, blocking the meteorites around him. Grabbing the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's godhead, Longao was thrilled. With 1 Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's godhead, it meant that he could create another Starry Sky Territory Ancestor. Retreat. As he had successfully obtained 1 Starry Sky Territory Ancestor's godhead, Longao didn't linger. Even if there were other Starry Sky Territory Ancestors' godheads, he wouldn't snatch them. Longao wasn't too greedy, so he knew when to stop. Longao hand over the Starry Sky Territory Ancestors' godhead. Seeing Longao come out safely, both Hong Lin and Chi Tian felt it was inconceivable. They didn't know how Longao had withstood so many meteorites. Not to mention a level 8 Starry Sky cultivator. Even a Starry Sky Territory Ancestor wouldn't dare to confront him directly. Longao didn't slow down. Longao used his finger as a sword, and the reincarnation sword Chi slashed across the sky like a rainbow, aiming at the 2 Starry Sky Territory Ancestors. They didn't dare to confront him directly. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Longao teleported away with Yi Bu in an instant. When the two reacted, they found that Longao and Yi Bu were gone. He was completely dumbfounded. Never in his wildest dreams did he expect Longao's speed to be so fast. Even if it was teleportation, it was still too terrifying. Humiliation, a great humiliation. Kill! The two of them were furious to the extreme. After leaving the territory ancestor peak, they saw Longao and Yi Bu smiling at them. They became more enraged. Longao, I'm going to tear you to shreds, he sneered. Longao and Yi Bu turned around and left quickly. 2 people ran and 2 people chased. Everyone in the vicinity was astounded because they knew that if the 2 Universal Star Territory ancestors acted like this, could it be that Longao had already obtained the Universal Star Territory ancestors' godhead? Thinking of this, everyone was once again envious and jealous. Although the 2 territory ancestors dared to chase after them, the others didn't. Anyway, Longao and Yi Bu were strong enough. Unless they wanted to court death, they wouldn't. 2 hours later, the 2 of them returned helplessly. Longao and Yi Bu were too fast for them to catch up. Everyone retreated as they were afraid of the 2. No one knew if the 2 of them would go crazy or not because it had happened before. They had suddenly attacked the people around them. What if they did it again? The 2 of them were infuriated. What enraged them the most was that as soon as they returned, Longao and Yi Bu followed them. It was a total provocation. Longao, if you're a man, fight us fairly. Ignored. As he had successfully obtained a Universal Star Territory ancestor's godhead, Longao was thinking about who he should give it to. Oyang Tua Lini Li Mei Ibai, are you willing to swallow the Universal Star Territory ancestor's godhead? As the 4 of them were Universal Star Territory emperors, as long as they could swallow the Universal Star Territory ancestor's godhead, with Long Fu's help, they could break through to the Universal Star Territory ancestor's realm in 3 days. They were bewildered. Was Longao really willing to give them the Universal Star Territory ancestor's godhead? The 4 of them knew that there was no such thing as a free lunch in the sky. Lin Yi asked, "What are your conditions?" "Submit to me and sign a bloodline contract." "Impossible." What a joke. The 4 of them finally understood why Longao had given the Universal Star Territory ancestors godhead to Yi Bu. Turned out that Yi Bu had chosen the bloodline contract. Not willing? Longao chuckled. Even if the 4 of them were unwilling, he believed that there would be people willing. The temptation of the Universal Star Territory ancestors' godhead was there, so Longao didn't ask further. Just as Longao was about to continue searching for his target, Ibai suddenly walked over from the group of 4 without saying a word. Longao already knew what Ibai meant. The temptation of the Universal Star Territory ancestors' godhead was too great. There would definitely be people willing to accept it. "Ibai, are you really willing?" The other 3 were a little surprised, because everyone was very clear about what the bloodline contract meant. Once the bloodline contract was successfully signed, then the life and death of Ibai would not be in their own hands. As long as Longao willed it, Ibai would fall. "Longao, I'm willing to sign the bloodline contract." Longao didn't say much. After Ibai completed the bloodline contract, he directly handed the Universal Star Territory ancestors' godhead to him. Yi Bu, who was standing aside, suddenly said, "Ibai, you will feel lucky for your choice today." When Yi Bu said this, the meaning was completely different. However, Ibai didn't care because he had the same feeling as Yi Bu. He seemed to have sensed something from the territory ancestor peak. He would take the risk and see if he could make the right bet. Ibai wasn't a fool. He knew Yi Bu's character well. If there weren't any benefits, Yi Bu would be willing to submit to Longao and sign the bloodline contract. There must be something fishy about it. Choosing the bloodline contract now and choosing the bloodline contract in the future were two completely different concepts. Ibai even had a feeling that if he didn't submit now, even if he was willing in the future, the other party wouldn't want him. Let's go. Longao took the other two and left. Shortly after, the three of them disappeared without a trace. Hong Lin and Qi Tian, the two Universal Star Territory ancestors, were infuriated. Longao had openly recruited people and used the Universal Star Territory ancestors' godhead as bait. The two of them couldn't do anything. The two of them were like two volcanoes that could erupt at any minute. No one dared to come close to them. They looked at them in fright and tried to stay as far away as possible. In the distance, Ibai, according to your situation, you should be similar to Yibu. You need 1 year to refine the Universal Star Territory ancestors' godhead. However, we can't wait that long. I'm asking for your opinion. If you agree, I can help you refine the Universal Star Territory ancestors' godhead and become the Universal Star Territory ancestor in 3 days. However, it's very dangerous. There's only a 50% chance of success. Longao's meaning was clear. Everything would depend on Ibai's opinion. P.S. Copy the 3rd chapter. Chapter 1975. Ibai and Yibu had made the same choice. Although there was only a 50% chance of success, they were excited to refine the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead and become a Starry Sky Territory Ancestor in just 3 days. 3 days later, when Longao brought the two of them back to the Territory Ancestor Peak, everyone was astounded. Was it real? In just 3 days, Longao had created another Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead. In this case, Longao's power had soared to another height. With the help of 2 Starry Sky Territory ancestors, not to mention the others, even if Hong Lin and the others joined hands, they wouldn't dare to attack Longao. Was he still the Longao they knew? In just several months, he had grown to this level. It was unbelievable. Hong Lin and Qi Tian couldn't believe it. They didn't know how Longao had done it. This secret technique was too overbearing. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it. The two of them knew that Longao's situation was different now. Even if Yibu and Ibai had just broken through to the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor realm, they would still be hurt badly. Everyone was watching the situation inside the Territory Ancestor Peak. The meteorite remained for 3 days and 3 nights before it gradually disappeared. No one hesitated, and they all rushed into the Territory Ancestor Peak. Although Longao had already obtained 3 Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godheads, there were still 7 Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godheads left. If he was lucky, he might be able to obtain one of them. Snatching the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Godhead didn't depend on one's strength. Luck was the most important factor. The rest of the people rushed into the Territory Ancestor Peak. This time, there were more than 100,000 Starry Sky cultivators who had entered the Heaven Martial world. However, in just 2 months they had lost more than 50,000 of them. It was a terrifying number. If it didn't concern them, they wouldn't care. No matter how many Starry Sky cultivators died, as long as they were fine, no one would care. There wasn't a single meteorite on the ground. All of them had disappeared. Was it an illusion? What a terrifying phantom attack. In total, more than 20,000 Starry Sky cultivators had died. Fortunately, everyone had run away quickly. Otherwise, the remaining 50,000 Starry Sky cultivators would have died in this place. While they were fighting for the keys, they were gazing at the screen to see when the Starry Sky Territory Ancestors' Godhead would appear again. Out of the original 10 Universe Domain Ancestor Godheads, only 7 were left. At a certain place, as they had gotten the key to the Star Secret Domain, the 2 Territory Ancestors didn't try to snatch it. Although they were the Territory Ancestors of the Starry Sky, they couldn't offend the god and the people. If everyone was angry and dissatisfied, things would be difficult to handle. Hong Lin, if I'm not wrong, the Starry Sky Territory ancestor can't do that. Chi Tian believed that he was unable to do so. The meteorite attack seemed to be something that only those in that realm could accomplish. Was the oracle that kind of existence? Chi Tian didn't want to believe it, nor did he dare to believe it. No matter what, this was a small mid-grade plane. How could such a legendary existence appear here? Not to mention Chi Tian, even Hong Lin didn't believe it. However, the result was right in front of them. Even if they didn't want to believe it, the facts told them that it wasn't a lie. If that was the case, then the oracle's strength was really terrifying. Hong Lin nodded helplessly and said, Chi Tian, I know what you mean. Even if you and I don't want to believe it, I'm afraid the oracle is really the Starry Sky World's master. Although he had guessed it, Chi Tian's face still changed when he heard Hong Lin's words. He knew what the Starry Sky World's master meant. Both of them knew that if the oracle was really the Starry Sky World's master, then it was too terrifying. It was hard to imagine that the two of them had tried to kill the oracle. Just thinking about it made them shudder. If their guesses were true, then given the strength of the God Diviner, it would be a piece of cake for him to kill them. Starry Sky World's master. Seems like the Starry Sky World's master of our region is the so-called oracle. In the vast starry sky, every Starry Sky World's master was an extremely mysterious existence. They wouldn't reveal themselves easily. This was why no one knew who he was. Otherwise, as the Starry Sky World's master, Oracle would definitely be a super existence whose name could shake the entire starry sky. Sigh. Both of them sighed deeply. They felt helpless. From the beginning to the end, both of them had never thought that a Starry Sky World's master would appear in the Heaven Martial Plane. If they had known earlier, they wouldn't have entered the Heaven Martial Plane even if they were beaten to death. Trying to provoke a Starry Sky World's master was simply a foolish action. Both of them finally knew why the oracle was so confident that he could casually open the passageway and even let them enter. It seemed like the oracle wasn't afraid of anyone. Not to mention them, even if the Starry Sky World's masters of other regions came, the oracle wouldn't even put them in his eyes. Hong Lin, what should we do now? It's a little troublesome. Hundreds of thousands of Starry Sky cultivators have died in less than 2 months. It's hard to imagine how many of them are still alive, including you and me. We're all pawns of the oracle. Sigh. They sighed again. The Starry Sky World's master was a real expert of the starry sky. The two of them were extremely depressed. If they had known that the oracle was the Starry Sky World's master, no matter how tempting the secret territory was, they wouldn't have come here. Now, they regretted it so much that they wanted to die. I hope the oracle is just playing. He won't do it for real. Do you really think that the oracle won't do it? As the two of them were territory ancestors of the starry sky, they could vaguely feel that if the oracle wanted to kill them, no matter who it was, no one could stop him. The more they thought about it, the more annoyed they felt. The two of them looked at the boundless territory ancestor peak. If nothing unexpected happened, they would be buried in 1 year. Let alone going to the star secret territory, they didn't even know if they could leave the Heaven Martial Plane alive. What should they do after all? The two of them looked solemn and worried. They didn't know what to do. However, they were just guessing. They hoped that they were wrong. If the oracle wasn't the Starry Sky World's master but the territory ancestor of the starry sky, they would have a chance. If the oracle was the Starry Sky World's master, they wouldn't have a chance. Two pawns at the mercy of others. Whether they lived or died, they didn't even have the power to decide. P.S. Copy the 4th chapter. Chapter 1976. Both of them were worried. However, they didn't have any solution. As it had come to this, they could only take one step at a time. After the meteorite attack disappeared, the entire territory ancestor peak quieted down. Longao, Yibu, and Ebai formed a small team. When the three of them joined hands, no one dared to provoke them. Master, since Yibu and I have reached the Starry Sky territory ancestor realm, why don't we join hands and find a way to kill Feng Buxiu? Ebai had chosen to submit to Longao, which meant that he had chosen to submit to the dragon sect. Thus, he called Longao master. As for Yibu, he needed time to accept it. From the beginning to the end, Longao didn't force them. Feng Buxiu had to die. Longao would never forget this grudge. There were 3 people who had besieged Uncle Morong. 2 of them had died, leaving Feng Buxiu alone. He nodded in agreement. Previously, he was still afraid of the other 2. It wasn't easy to kill Feng Buxiu. But now, the situation was completely different. Yibu and Ebai had reached the Starry Sky territory ancestor realm. Although they weren't Qi Tian and Hong Lin's opponents, it was more than enough to stall them. However, Longao didn't plan to do that. Because with his strength, wanting to kill Feng Buxiu in a short period of time was not an easy thing to do. After thinking about it, Longao decided to keep the 2 of them busy. As for killing Feng Buxiu, he would leave it to Yibu and Ebai. Longao had full confidence in the strength of the 2 of them. Even if the 2 of them were to join forces, any one of them would be able to deal with Feng Buxiu. If they joined hands, as long as nothing unexpected happened, they could kill Feng Buxiu. They did as they were told. Longao and the other 2 didn't take action immediately. They had to think of a countermeasure. The first one to take action was Longao. He attacked the other 2 for no reason. The other 2 were bewildered as they didn't know what was wrong with Longao. Although Yibu and Ebai had reached the Starry Sky territory ancestor realm, they weren't strong enough to confront the other 2. They didn't consider Longao a threat. Attack! The 2 of them were very clear about the grudge between Longao and Feng Buxiu. They were eager to show off, so the 2 of them attacked with all their might, flanking Feng Buxiu from both sides. Yibu, Ebai, we have always been good friends. Are you going to be so heartless? Heartless? The 2 of them sneered in their hearts. Not wanting to waste any more words, the 2 of them charged forward. Although the Starry Sky territory ancestor had touched the power of the star boundary, he could still subdue the Starry Sky territory emperor. Feng Buxiu was at a disadvantage in front of the 2 of them. Fighting 1 against 2, as long as there were no accidents, Feng Wuchang would definitely die. When they saw Yibu and Ebai attack Feng Buxiu, both Hong Lin and Qi Tian instantly understood why Longao would attack the 2 of them. If it was before, the 2 of them would have stopped him. As the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. However, they had guessed that divine mathematician wasn't the territory ancestor of the Starry Sky. He was the so-called territory master of the Starry Sky. At this time, the 2 of them were not in the mood to fight Longao at all. Stop attacking. Longao, we know what you mean. Please do as you wish. Without any hesitation, the 2 of them chose to compromise. Seeing the 2 of them compromise, Longao was a little surprised. However, if they didn't attack him, it was still a good thing for him. Turning around, Longao used the teleportation skill and disappeared from his spot. Feng Buxiu, today we have to settle the grudges between us. Are you ready? I'm ready, your ass. Feng Buxiu was enraged to the extreme. The more Longao acted like this, the more humiliated he felt. He had watched Longao grow step by step. At first, he had the power to kill Longao. However, it was impossible now. Was he going to die here? Previously, he had the help of the 2 territory ancestors. Thus, he wasn't afraid of Longao. However, the situation was different now. Feng Buxiu could imagine that the 2 of them were afraid of Longao. Thus, they didn't want to help him. Burning the bridge after crossing the river. Longao, I can let bygones be bygones. What do you think? You can let bygones be bygones? Hearing those words, not only Longao, even Yi Bu and Yi Bai felt that it was a bit funny. The reason for that was because the three of them were truly unable to understand exactly what gave Chu Feng such confidence to actually act so arrogantly. Waving his hand, Longao didn't want to create more problems. The sooner he killed Feng Buxiu, the sooner he could take revenge for Uncle Murong. Right at this moment, the 10,000 Beasts' forefather, Xing Kuan, Long Di Tian, and Long Tian all entered the territory Ancestor Peak. The four of them had reached the Starry Sky Territory Lord Realm. When they saw Long Ao's team attacking Feng Buxiu, they didn't know that Yi Bu and Yi Bai had reached the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Realm. Otherwise, no one knew what they would think. Even so, the four of them were still astounded. They didn't know why Yi Bu and Yi Bai wanted to help Long Ao. Weren't they enemies at the beginning? When the four of them saw Long Ao also saw them. Tian Dao wasn't here, so he could seize the chance to deal with the four of them. Then, he could settle his grudge once and for all. His enemies were all here. Although Tian Dao and Long Batian didn't say anything, Long Ao and the others knew where the two of them had gone. If nothing unexpected happened, the two of them had entered the secret domain. As for why the divine mathematician wanted to do that, besides him, no one knew. Long Ao didn't care if he could enter the secret domain or not. As long as Tian Dao wasn't here, it was a good thing for him. However, at this moment, Long Ao didn't want to settle the score with the four of them. The most important thing now was to deal with Feng Buxiu and take revenge for Uncle Murong. Take action? Not wanting to waste any more time, the three of them attacked at the same time. The result was obvious. After a few moves, Feng Buxiu fell. However, for revenge, Long Ao not only killed Feng Buxiu, but also destroyed his Yuan spirit. Feng Buxiu's Yuan spirit didn't even have the chance to enter the cycle of reincarnation. After dealing with Feng Buxiu, Long Ao finally felt better. If it weren't for him, Uncle Murong wouldn't have fallen. He blamed himself. Most importantly, when the seal of the massacre abyss was opened, he didn't know how to explain it to Murong Yener. He sighed deeply. Even if he took revenge, Uncle Murong wouldn't be able to come back from the dead. Xing Kuan, myriad beasts' ancestor, Long Tian, Long Ditian, long time no see. How have you been? With Yi Bu and Yi Bai, the three of them instantly arrived before the four of them. This time, Long Ao had decided that no matter what happened, he would take care of the four of them. P.S. Copy of Chapter 5. Chapter 1977. The four people's faces were very gloomy, as ugly as they could be. The four of them were well aware of Feng Buxiu's strength. A Starry Sky Domain Emperor could kill the four of them with his strength alone. But what was the result? Feng Buxiu was still killed. Other than Long Ao's strength, the two Starry Sky Domain Emperors helping Long Ao was like adding wings to a tiger. Not only that, the four of them were shocked to find that Yi Bu and Yi Bai weren't Starry Sky Domain Emperors, but Starry Sky Domain Ancestors. Was this for real? Unbelievable. Inconceivable. The only explanation was that Yi Bu and Yi Bai had devoured the Starry Sky Domain Ancestors' godheads and had successfully refined them in a short period of time, breaking through to the Starry Sky Domain Ancestors' realm. Long Ao, there are external enemies here. Let's put aside the grudges between us for now, how about it? In this situation, the four of them were afraid. Going against Long Ao was a dead end. There was no one who wasn't afraid of death. Although the myriad beasts' ancestor, Long Di Tian, and Long Tian did not say anything, their intentions were clear. Would Long Ao agree? Long Ao sneered coldly as he looked at the four people in front of him. He sighed inwardly because the 4 people standing in front of him were the peak experts of the sky martial continent. He could only look up at them from afar. Wanting to deal with the 4 of them was simply a fool's dream. But now, in just a few short years, not only was he able to stand on equal footing with the 4 of them, he even had the strength to kill them. The changes in the world were unpredictable. Perhaps even the 4 of them would not have thought that things would turn out like this. Cut the weeds and eliminate the roots, eliminating all future troubles. Longao wouldn't leave any trouble for himself, especially now that the 4 of them had broken through to the Starry Sky Domain Lord realm. No one knew what realm they would reach in the future. The safest way was to deal with them first. Kill yourselves? Longao's meaning was very clear. The 4 of them were not fools. Of course, they knew that the other party was not willing to let the 4 of them go. However, if they were to lose in this matter, they would definitely make the same choice as Longao. Cutting weeds without removing the roots, they would grow again when the spring breeze blew. It was a simple principle. The 4's expression became gloomier. Could it be a war? There was almost no need for the battle to begin. The 4 of them already knew the outcome. Let alone Longao, Yibu and Ibai, who were at the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor Realm, were enough to kill the 4 of them. Feng Buxiu was the best example. The other 2 territory ancestors of the Starry Sky Territory Ancestor, Qi Tian Territory Ancestor and Hong Lin Territory Ancestor, were watching quietly. They didn't want to take action. In fact, the 4 of them understood the 2 territory ancestors' intentions. After all, the 2 territory ancestors were afraid of Longao. Thus, they didn't dare to interfere in this matter. Was this still the Longao of the past? In the past, although Longao was difficult to deal with, they still had the confidence to kill him. But now, Longao had grown to such an extent. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, it would have been hard to believe. Not to mention the others, even the 2 territory ancestors didn't dare to take action. He sighed deeply in his heart. The 4 of them were very clear in their hearts that this time, the 4 of them were most likely doomed. However, they were a little unwilling to be killed by Longao just like that. He seemed to have thought of something. All of a sudden, Long Di Tian sneered and said, "Longao, if you dare to take action against us, Long Jing's life will be in danger." Long Jing? Hearing Long Di Tian, Longao's body suddenly emitted a terrifying murderous aura. It was because the Long family had disappeared 2 years ago. According to Yuan, Long Jing had secretly left the Dragon Valley to find him. What a silly girl. Longao had thought that since he hadn't heard from Long Jing for 2 years, she was probably dead. However, he had never thought that Long Jing would fall into Long Di Tian's hands. This time, they were in big trouble. Long Di Tian, what do you mean? The 4 of them changed their attitude instantly. Looking at Longao's face, the 4 of them knew that Long Jing was important to Longao. If so, they didn't have to worry about their lives. Longao, don't worry. Long Jing is safe now. However, if you take action, I can guarantee that Long Jing won't even have a corpse left. A threat. It was a blatant threat. The 4 of them swaggered off to the side. The 4 of them were all Starry Sky Territory Lords. If they were to join forces, they would be a force to be reckoned with. Unless it was the Starry Sky Territory Emperor or Starry Sky Territory Ancestor, the 4 of them would be able to wipe out all the cultivators here. The 4 of them had just left when Long Di Tian suddenly turned around. Looking at Longao, he chuckled. Longao, pray to the gods that nothing will happen to me. Otherwise, if the 4 of us take action, it would mean that something will happen to your Long Jing. Ha 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 ha, the 4 of them laughed maniacally. Yibu and Ibai did not say anything. Even though they did not know who Long Jing was, they could not help but sigh in their hearts when they saw the expression on the master's face. This was going to be big trouble. The 4 of them were truly despicable. Yibu thought about it and asked, "Master, what should we do now?" The two of you follow them. Don't let anything happen to them. I'm going out for a while. No problem. Of course, the two of them knew what the master wanted to do. However, if Long Tian wanted to hide Long Jing, it would be a little troublesome. Long Ao did not hesitate at all. His feelings for Long Jing were complicated. Even though he did not have any feelings for her, he had always treated her like a sister. Especially this silly girl. Her feelings for him, sigh. It was precisely because of this that Long Ao had already decided that no matter what happened, he had to save Long Jing. He did not care about the life and death of the four people at all. Only Long Jing's safety could not be harmed. Otherwise, he would really feel guilty and uneasy for the rest of his life. As for whether Long Tian was telling the truth, Long Ao knew very well that it should be true. Long Ao left the territory Ancestor Peak and headed straight for the Long family. Previously, he was afraid of the divine mathematician, so he did not attack the dragon tribe and the Long family. However, if Long Tian dared to hurt Long Jing, not to mention the divine mathematician, even the heavenly king would not be able to do anything. No matter if it was the Long family or the Dragon Valley, they would all be destroyed. Long Ao's speed was very fast. As a starry sky cultivator with grade 8 cultivation, not to mention spatial teleportation, his speed alone had reached a terrifying level. In just a few steps, he had already arrived outside the Long clan. Long Ao did not search for them one by one. Instead, he released his starry sky aura and covered the entire Long family instantly. Not here? Long Ao was very clear about his starry sky aura. It seemed like Long Tian did not place Long Jing in the Long family. In that case, other than the Long family, there was only one other place. It was the Dragon Valley, where the dragon tribe resided. P.S. Copy of the first chapter. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.